Genesis 1 is the latest map to get a facelift for Ark Survival Ascended, and honestly, I think Wildcard cooked with this one. The original biomes all look even better than before, and the ocean biome has been completely reworked to include a massive ocean surface with dynamic waves, weather, and plenty of islands to explore. Throw in the pirate outpost, new weapons, engrams, and tames from the Tides of Fortune DLC, and this drop becomes maybe the biggest one yet. So today I'll be attempting to survive 100 days in this simulation, completing missions, taming some of the newest creatures, building my own pirate outpost, and of course attempting to defeat the corrupted Master Controller. So with all that said, let's go ahead and let's get into it. To start, I spawned into the completely new ocean biome, where I would be immediately harassed by the Temu Guilty Spark.
Identify yourself, who the f*** are you?
And before getting started, I decided to explore the new island a little bit when I would spot one of the new pirate outposts in the distance. Ooh. Look at that in the distance. That looks like fun. With the island seeming relatively safe, I was already hatching a plan on how I was going to best complete the challenge. So I mean, I think the move is to set up like base in the ocean islands and then do all the teleporting around, but like continue to live back here. But my plan and sense of security would be immediately shattered when a raptor jumped me out of nowhere. Thankfully, I was able to retreat across the water, and I knew what needed to be done. I'm taming you, buddy. So I started gathering materials to make my first stone pick, used it to gather even more materials, and unlock the rest of the starter tools I'll need to tame the raptor. But to make bolas and a slingshot, I would need hide, so I started heading around the island in search of some leathery victims, while avoiding getting absolutely clobbered by a mother gigantoraptor. And eventually I found myself at a small river with some of the most adorable creatures ever, the brand new Tide Pup from the Tides of Fortune DLC. Hello, what do I do to get you on my side? How do I make you my friend? Oh my gosh. Completely entranced by their cuteness, I just swam around for a minute with my colony of little friends when something not so friendly would join the fun. I feel like I'm very fast in the water. Oh, that's not a friend. And even worse, it brought a buddy with it. So I made up a spear to attempt taking them out one at a time and decided to cross the river in hopes of finding a more open spot for our battle. Instead, I found another creepy crawler in the form of a spider who nearly blasted me with its sticky web. We're not safe anywhere. Nowhere is safe for us. Back across the river, I began to do battle with one of the scorpions until I backed into a tree, it poked me, and after a short run to get away, I passed out in the dirt. But thankfully, it lost track of me and I awoke unharmed as a wandering trike had been guarding over me. And I knew what I had to do. I used the trike as a prehistoric meat shield, getting it to do battle with the spider first until it had finished it off and I could sneak in to harvest its body. Nice. I don't know where the spider died at. I want to get the spider's meat. But just as I finished, the scorpion snuck back up and knocked me out again, and this time I wouldn't survive. When I respawned, the raptor I spotted earlier jumped me right away, leaving me to scramble into the water to escape. But this time, the raptor was not giving up. It tracked me along the beach until eventually it spotted the gigantoraptor and made the terrible decision to try to test its might on the much bigger chicken. From there, I returned to grab my gear and found the trike had dealt with the scorpion as well, and on its body was a handy-dandy bow that I currently can't craft due to the lack of hide. So, still desperate for hide, I began doing the unthinkable, trying to strike down a Tide Pup who put in an absolute masterclass of avoiding my strikes. When I tried throwing my spear out of frustration, the results were more of the same. So I gave up and headed further up the river where I finally found a dillo I could take out for hide to craft a slingshot. I then gathered some stone for ammo with the goal of finding something I could easily tame to use for taming a Tide Pup. Find something small I can tame. Ooh, there we go. A few compy would make the perfect target, so I knocked them out and fed them the wrong type of meat by mistake, but as I did, I spotted something even better, a moss chops. Oh, moss chops! I will protect you. Oh, no I won't! Okay, well, it just ate my compy. Oh, it's killing the moss chops. Oh, I can just hear it. Oh, yikes! Desperate to save the moss chops, I began firing stones at the Carno's rear end in hopes of simply distracting it. But to no avail as it chased the chunkin' boy off into the jungle, so instead I claimed a baby dillo, then another one, which got the attention of another adult dillo. Ah, crap! And once it was down, I also found a baby parasaur to adopt as well. You're all mine! I'm adopting everybody! The whole orphanage is getting cleared out! Alright guys, come on, I got a plan for you guys. But while heading back down to the beach with my new kids, I spotted a new moss chops who only wanted a mejoberry, so I started taming it. And while waiting on its hunger, I headed back down to the river when a gang of dillos would jump me and my family on the way. No, not my babies! Oh gosh, this is a disaster! This is not exactly what I wanted to have happen here. No! No! They slaughtered them! They slaughtered them! They were innocent! They slaughtered them! Wanting revenge for my younglings, I struck down all 3 dillos in a fit of rage. And by the time the battle was done, the Moss Chops was ready for more food, but of course, it wanted something I don't have. Raw prime fish meat. So I checked with HLNA to see if she had any for sale. Elena, tell me you got that. Tell me you got raw prime fish meat. Might be one of the few things she does not give. Moving on, I found another copy to knock out and fed it prime meat for my passed away babies, which tamed it up instantly. And with my new little friend, I started trying to tame the Tide Pups by damaging the compy. They're surrounding me! Yeah, yeah! Okay, now which one he was doing that, though? There's so many of them, I don't know which one was doing it. But unable to figure out who was doing the healing, and with my tummy rumbling, I cooked up some meat for myself. It's like, apparently you're supposed to damage your creature, and then they'll heal it, and that's how they start to tame. Then tried again, and this time I at least figured out which one was doing the healing, I just didn't know I had to feed it too. Ah! I messed it up, I didn't do it in time. Stay out of the way! So I kept trying when I would accidentally strike one of the pups, sending the whole group into a panic. Well, you didn't run. With that planned shot, I crafted the rest of my cloth armor to finally cover my most important package, and of course used the pirate skin from the new Ties of Fortune DLC. There we go, look at them earrings, dude, oh my gosh. Heck yeah, bro, we got the big hoops. I then gathered some more resources to make thatch structures and get down a small thatch hut. Added a campfire and mortar and pestle inside, and started making a small handful of narcotics when I noticed some pups had returned, so I tried to once again tame one by beating my compy. But using normal meat, this was gonna take a while, so instead I went back out exploring while also taking on any easy target for more hide. And during my journey, I got my first glimpse of the controversial barren ocean floor that everyone who never goes in the ocean suddenly cares so much about. I also found some crystal I could use to make a spyglass, and then back home added a storage box in my hut to store any gear I didn't want to risk losing, as well as a bed to respawn at. Because next up, I wanted to try my luck at one of the Genesis missions in hopes of getting better gear, and began teleporting myself and an army of Tide Pups to the northeast bog where the Dodo Ball Challenge is located. But upon porting in, I was immediately chased off the teleport spot by an X-Raptor, and thankfully I was able to lose it in the bog, and it was time to fire up the Gamma Dodo Ball mission, which turned out to be something I was not very good at. Oh, wow, we're not very good at this. But slowly I began making a few buckets to build my points up, and eventually made the final shot and got a nice little piece of loot from it. Oh, around the rim, baby. Bah, bah, bah. Uh-oh. Oh my. What? I just got a compound bow! So I went straight to beta and started chucking up shots when there I was just chilling out max, relaxing all cool, just shooting some dodo ball outside the bog pools, when a swarm of bugs who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. When some raptors showed up, I got scared and retreated into the bog to get some fresh air. Eventually I lost the bugs and the raptors moved off, so I went back to absolutely draining shot after shot until I was finished. Scuba gear. That's actually huge. And with my first few pieces of good gear, I decided it was time to teleport back to safety as some bugs began attacking me once again. Come on, lady! Hit the button! Hit the button! I don't think we got very close. Oh, we're not close at all. Okay. But I ended up on an island nowhere near home. Trying to get home still, I kept teleporting to different spots in hopes of getting the one my starter hut was on, but none of them took me to the right spot. Okay, it's obviously not in the north. Why does it keep, like... So instead, I just started teleporting around, checking out potential tames, admiring some of the local architecture, and scouting for a place to live that also had a teleporter. When I would arrive at an island that was home to a saber-tooth, and knowing I couldn't outrun it forever, I had no choice but to try jumping for the water. Give me liberty or give me... death! Oh gosh, we're dying. Well... This did give me a chance though to respawn in my bed where I picked up all my stuff, since there's no point in living on an island I can't teleport back to. From there, I teleported back to the island of my death, where I was immediately greeted by a terror bird, and as is tradition, I was once again retreating into the water to avoid becoming lunch. After a quick swim around the island to put some distance between myself and the chicken, I returned to the scene of my death to recover my bag, and then kept teleporting around trying to find a spot to live, and at one point even debated just living the mobile life on a raft. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get a raft. And by the end of the night, I still hadn't found where I wanted to live, but I did find some easy to grab pearls, which are all over this map. I want to settle down. want to stop living on the go. I want to have somewhere to come home to, you know what I mean? My teleporting continued early into the next morning as I watched a Megaraptor absolutely maul innocent life forms right in front of my face, holding my breath in hopes it would just ignore me, which for some odd reason it did. And after some time, my teleporting brought me to a spot in the Northwest Ocean that was everything I was looking for as a base spot. Okay, this looks promising. Oh, this is it, baby. This is it. This is what we're looking for. Perfect. Couldn't be better. We're even gonna jump for it because we're so oh my gosh. So I started clearing out any local pests that would try to spoil my moving day, and while exploring the island taking out anything I could for more hide, I ran into another one of the new creatures from the new DLC, the parrot. What the? Oh, it's the parrot! It's a parrot! How do I tame a parrot? But I had no idea how to tame it, so instead I returned to the spot I thought would make for a good starting base and began setting up a pad, as one little Thai pup watched on, hoping to join my team. This guy wants to join the team so bad. And since I was still determined to tame one as well, I gathered more materials to make more arrows and began unloading them into a nearby mama trike, eventually dropping her with one final arrow to the knee. With her out of the way, I claimed her babies, then struck one down, but left its body for now till I could get a Thai pup to follow me up out of the water. I then harvested the baby trike for prime meat and began trying to tame the pup by again damaging my compy. There goes. Alright, heal, heal, heal. Yes, 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 yes. Come on. Okay, 17%. Like a real sport, my compy kept taking its beatings and the demented little pup got closer and closer to being tamed. Once I was out of prime meat, I killed off the other trike and harvested it to restock, and after a few more beatings served out to the compy and a few more feeds to the pup, it was tamed. Boom! 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 Thai pup! Boom! And I named it Mudkip. And for all its service to get this done, I named the compy Punching Bag. With the Thai pup, you can actually have two shoulder pets at once, but while checking this out, I realized I had an XP boost from taming the pup, so in a panic I gathered some wood and thatch, used HLNA to buy a bunch of stone because I couldn't be asked to gather it by hand, and began making as many cooking pots as I could. When they finished, I still had some more time, so I gathered some more wood and thatch, bought some more stone, and crafted up a few more. And by the time the XP boost was done, I was now level 51. After the rush of the XP boost, I got down a forge, as well as a mod item called an inventory smithy, which allows you to craft stuff from your inventory at a station, rather than slowing you down. Then I gathered a bunch of berries to make some more narcotics, turning them into trank arrows. And around the other side of the bay, I found a level 80 parasaur, hit it with a bola, which it didn't seem to like, and then loaded its face full of arrows until it passed out in the sand. Berries on it, and let it start taming. While waiting on it to tame, I went to a spot where I had seen metal while I was exploring, but before I could get to the metal, I first had to clear out some pesky snakes, and after chopping one of them up for its hide, I found a nice little surprise in its inventory. Ooh! That's better! Snakes weren't the only thing guarding this metal, but after clearing out and chopping everything up, I was finally harvesting the metal nodes I came for, using my new metal axe as it was actually better than the stone pick. With my pockets full of metal, I swam back to find the parasaur I tamed, and I named it First Mate. And since I already had all the materials on me, I went ahead and crafted First Mate's saddle to test her out with some quick berry gathering on the way home. Which when I arrived home, I found another Moschops on my doorstep who only wanted a Tintaberry for taming. While waiting to feed it again, I began splitting meat to spoil it faster, and once it spoiled, I used it to make more narcotics, and as those brewed, I returned to the Moschops to see that it once again wanted raw prime fish meat, which simply was not happening. So I ended the night by placing down a normal smithy, as the inventory one only crafts things from your inventory, and used it to make a metal pickaxe. The next morning I gathered a bunch more berries to get some more narcotics going, then headed to the bog, this time with a torch on my hotbar to handle any more of those pesky bugs. To of course try my luck at the alpha level of Dodoball, which at this point I'm basically a pro Dodoball player, and after draining shot after shot, the mission was complete and rewarded me with a useless saddle. Tapajara saddle? Are we being so for real right now? Still, I decided to try again for something better when another bug swarm showed up, but this time I had my torch and was ready to fight. That is, until my torch broke and I was left to once again retreat. But once they dispersed some, I returned to continue my hot shooting, and before long I finished another round, and again got a saddle I can't even use on this map. Bruh. So I returned to base, bought some crystal off HLNA, and used it to craft Dino Depot cryopods, which I don't normally use this mod, but it's been suggested many times, so I figured I'd check it out. I won't be using any of the automation features though. Once they finished, I teleported off to other islands to look for tames, but just as my search began, a snake snuck up on me. One bite knocked me out, and it finished me off. So I teleported back, and I was now on a rescue mission to save Mudkip from all sorts of predators in the area. Question is my tide pup dead, or does it respawn? I'll sneak in there and grab it from that snake if it's still, oh, it's still alive. Oh my gosh. Come on, buddy. With Mudkip on my arm, I darted off, but I knew if I was going to survive, I would have to make another leap for the sea. Oh gosh, we're dead. Oh, no, we're not. Whoa. So after somehow magically surviving the jump without taking any damage, I waded out to sea to lose the cat, and once I had enough space, I ran back to my bag and grabbed my stuff just as the snake slithered in, barely avoiding another death. Of course, I couldn't let the snake go unpunished for killing me, and after chopping up its hide, I used it to repair the armor that it had broken. Back on my island, I parachuted back to base and tried working out my Tide Pup's healing ability, which honestly, I'm still not really sure how it works. So now if my health drops below 50%, he'll start to heal me. But once I had recovered, I went back out looking for tames when I would come across a herd of stegos fighting an aloe as well as an alpha raptor. So I joined in the fight in hopes I could take down the raptor for some easy levels and maybe even some good loot. But when I accidentally hit a stego, they turned on me and I had to retreat for the moment. And when I came back, there was now an acro also in the fight. And after watching it run down everything on the beach, I had no choice but to retreat to the water again to swim safely away. And then I noticed the Alpha Raptor had also made its way over to this part of the island. A few more arrows put it down, but it gave me no good loot. Though the bottle I picked up was Ascendant tier. So I continued searching for tames until I found myself in a rundown city where I would spot a 140 dire bear that would make for a great first mount if I could tame it. So I started gathering mats and crafting pieces I needed for a simple ramp trap. But when I returned for the bear, it was nowhere to be found, which makes perfect sense considering all of the big bads that were now in the area. So no 140 bear, but I was at least able to take out some of the beasts from range to get a little boost in experience. Well, I think my bears are gone. Oh gosh, I didn't think he would actually make his way up here. Then while checking to make sure the bears hadn't maybe wandered elsewhere, a Rex chased me out of the city and I watched on as it began taking out everything on the beach. But mixed in with the stuff it was fighting were some more high-level bears that I would use HLNA to scan, and the 125 had the best stats. And while checking them, I also found another washed-up bottle that was again Ascendant tier. But before considering tracking it down, it was first time to tame this bear. After setting up the trap, I began trying to lure it up and in, but the bear had other plans. And since its friend tagged along, I had to try drawing it away to separate them, which actually worked. Okay, let's try to trap that one again, I guess. We should be far enough away from the level 65 to not draw its aggro. But when I went to trap it again, it once again failed, and this time took some of my armor with it. So eventually I just lured it into the trap with an open wall, and then replaced it behind it to lock it in. Now I just needed to lure its friend out into the ocean to leave it stranded at sea and unable to protect its pal. And with it out of the picture, I began making more trank arrows and loading up the bear, using HLNA to watch its health and torpor, till eventually it went down. Go down.
Get down, boy. Get down.
There we go, alright. Needing prime meat to feed it, I approached a baby bear for harvesting. I just failed to notice its mother nearby. That's... Oh, no, 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 no! I'm sorry, I didn't see you there! Go, Galley! Soon after that, I found a mama pig with her own baby in tow, so after tying up the mom and taking her out, I hunted down the baby for its prime meat, which I quickly fed to my bear to get the tame underway. While it tamed, I went back to looking for anything else worth taming, and when I spotted the acro again, it was a level 145, and with it was a 140 Megatherium. That wasn't a tame for today though, and after finding nothing else, I returned to the bear who would finish taming as I was reviewing what engrams I should unlock. There we go, the bear tamed. So as a good steward of the land, I picked up the trap, and with that, Yogi joined the team. Once back home with my newest member, I bought 100 cementing paste off the black market, which was all I was missing to craft my bear's saddle. And excited at having a new mount, I took Yogi out for a little test run, as well as to get a few quick levels for her. But seeing how quickly she shredded my cloth rags reminded me I needed to upgrade my armor. So I went to gather some more metal, using my bear to haul it all back, grabbed some more wood for fuel, and brought it back to base to start cooking it up. I then did a quick fiber run with my bear, and started making what flak armor I could. And while the rest of the metal I needed cooked, I took my bear out for a trip around the island, wiping out all life to level it as much as possible, to include the world's worst Megalosaurus parent of the year right here, sleeping peacefully asleep while its children are being slaughtered. My slaughter of the island's population would continue for some time after that, and with nothing left to kill, I returned to base and crafted the final pieces of flak armor, as well as one visual storage shed that I would use to store all of the fiber my bear collects. Essentially, it's a mod that acts as dedicated storage for each material. While here, I decided to drop Punching Bag off to keep him safe, and he landed in the best possible spot. Oh, he's on the table! Look at that, it's adorable. Punching Bag. I love you, brother. And then back to some serious business. I still had more upgrades to make, and with the metal cooking very slowly, I placed down 4 more forges, and then made a visual storage drop box, which allowed me to quickly push all the metal evenly across the forges to light them up and speed up metal production. The next morning, I exchanged some more hexagons with HLNA, this time for some blue gems I needed to craft a glide suit, which I mostly wanted just so I could have fun gliding back down to my base anytime I returned from the teleporter. Next, I gathered more materials to make more arrows, and now geared up and ready to go, I headed to the volcano region for the first time in search of an X-Anki, as well as any other useful tames, doing battle with some of the awesome looking X variants along the way. But when the ground began to rumble, I panicked. Being this was my first time ever playing Gen 1, I thought this was the sound of the volcano erupting and wasn't sure what that meant for me.
What is that? What is that noise? Do I need to leave? Do I need to leave? Do I need to leave? I do need to leave? Okay, let's get out of here. Yes, the volcano does erupt. That's why I was freaking out. Yes.
So after a quick confirmation from my live stream, I decided it wasn't worth sticking around to find out. So instead, I went to this snow biome, which at first glance was looking pretty rough.
What the? What is going on?
But once everything loaded in, I began my search for both gathering tames and any source of fur I needed for making armor. Only problem was, for some reason, my snow biome was barren of all light. Instead, I was greeted by a small avalanche, which honestly is a really cool part of this map and something I wish they would do with all the snow biomes on other maps as well. Moving on, my search continued across lands of nothingness until I found a glitch, aka this map's experience note.
What is this? What is this about to do? Am I going to regret doing this if I do this?
But as a first-time Genesis player, I was a little skeptical. I then found another one just up the hill, and another one later in the night. I just couldn't find anything to kill to take advantage of them, and being alone in this frozen wasteland was starting to make me a little crazy.
This storm is intense, though. I like this. Oh, this is cool. Although I am getting a little bit of Lost Colony flashbacks, and the depression is starting to set in. The Aurora Borealis? I'll run into something eventually. Oh, it's the world barrier.
Early the next morning, I found a 4th one, and with it, the first sign of life in these cold lands.
A burrowback! There's a burrowback right here. I don't even know how to tame one of these things. I don't even own the DLC. I never bought it. This would actually be so clutch. I could actually live on the island that I want to live on, because I could just make a burrow back and forth. I'm gonna mark on the map where this burrowback is.
Now, a burrowbuck would be a massive tame because right now I basically have to live somewhere that has a teleporter, as traveling across the ocean consistently is just way too time consuming. Only problem is I don't actually own the DLC, so for the moment I just marked it on my map so I could ask my wife for my allowance. Instead, I headed back home to take advantage of my experience boost, placing down more mortar and pestles, and after using my bear to gather more narcoberries, I returned to distribute them evenly using my drop box and got more narcotics brewing. With those going, I went back out to gather even more using First Mate and began crafting even more narcotics. And then once they were done crafting, I teleported back to the volcano region to resume my search for an X-Anki, which I would spot one as the night was ending, it just wasn't a high enough level. As I searched the volcano, I found another glitch to restart my XP boost and then another to add to it. But after finding nothing around this spot, I decided to teleport to a different region of the biome, and immediately upon spawning in, I spotted a very nice X-Rex. Only problem was, knocking it out was going to take a massive amount of arrows and time. Still, I was up for the task, so I began gathering the resources to make a gate trap when I would spot another X-Anki, and this one was a winner. But before I could even begin trying to knock either one of them out, the sound of the volcano possibly erupting once again scared me off. Which honestly was okay, as my axe was nearly broken anyways and I needed to repair it. And while here, I gathered the rest of what I needed to make the remaining stone gates. Then I used my inventory smithy to churn out a crap ton of arrows, which apparently the mod Smithy makes them way faster than normal. I was not aware of that when I decided to use this mod, but I'm not too upset about it. I also made a crossbow for backup in case my compound bow breaks, and returned to the volcano only to find the Rex had somehow died.
No! Oh, what killed it? Did it drown?
And to make matters worse, the Anki was nowhere to be found either. So I continued searching and eventually spotted what looked like another Anki buried in some trees, so I plowed through, and it was another one worth taming.
140. Yes, we found another one. Haha, yes.
The trees already had it fairly stuck, so trapping it was nice and easy, and after one embarrassingly bad miss,
Oh, wow, hard first shot there.
I began loading it with arrows, fully prepared to spend a whole bundle due to the X variants having more resistance. But to my surprise, it was going much faster than I would have thought, and before long, it was knocked out.
There we go.
So I quickly gathered berries with my bear, fed it to start the tame, and then continued searching for other things to tame when a rock slide would come down right next to me, and I realized this was probably the sound I've been hearing all along. So I continued searching, feeling confident that this biome was no real threat to me, when I would nearly die to my own carelessness, breathing in a cloud of toxic fumes and nearly suffocating to death.
Oh, shoot, poison gas. Oh, heal me. Heal me, dude, heal me. I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. It's so close. I didn't know that was a thing. I take back everything I said about this biome. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. And we'll come back for our Anki when we're feeling a little better.
Almost dead, I ported home to recover, and then later in the day returned to the snow biome where I would find a cave with some polar bears that I could harvest for fur to eventually make armor. But as I pressed further into the cave, my overconfidence got the best of me again as I decided to take on a whole group of bears.
Actually, a terrible idea. Oh, we're gonna die. We're gonna lose our bear. Oh, we got another one down. No, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. I can't risk it, I can't risk it, I can't risk it. Too close of a fight. It was too close of a fight.
Nearly costing me my own bear and forcing me to retreat out of the cave some to force heal it with meat, before going back to take out the last bear. My Arctic journey continued into the next morning until I eventually found a frozen lake that had some beavers as well as their dams, with one of them being a 125 that I might have to tame if I can't find a mammoth.
24 melee is not bad, actually.
But for now, I just looted all their dams for paste and pearls. While here, I also decided to try my hand at the gamma level of the ice fishing mission, but just as I sat down to relax and fish, a hidden beaver showed up with other plans.
Oh, crap!
With the beaver dealt with, I started the mission again, which like Dota Ball took me a little bit to adjust and get good.
Wow, that one was crazy. Oh, what? I was too good with it. What the heck? Oh, wrong button. All right, 3 more.
But eventually I got the hang of it, and I was reeling in my final fish to complete the mission, which rewarded me with another useless saddle.
A Bronto saddle I'll never use, and an Equus saddle I'll never use.
And the fishing took so long that the Anki was nearly finished taming, so I teleported back to the lava region, but when I loaded in, I found myself floating in the air with my bear down below, locked in a fight with a magmasaur.
What is going on right now?
Yeah, my dire bear's down there getting killed, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this.
My bear's gonna die.
Not wanting to lose my bear, I tried whistling it to passive and to follow me as I dashed down using my glide suit, but my bear had other plans, ignoring me completely and taking down the magmasaur, all on its own.
My bear is still fighting back. My bear is still fighting back. Wait, did he win? Wait. It just won! Bro! That prime meat has to be from that guy, right? Because I'm sure they give prime meat. And the sulfur. It won!
With the disaster avoided, I returned to my newly tamed Anki, and of course, I had to check her stats.
38 points in health and 41 points in melee. That's a combo on it. Nope.
And once back at base, I named her Spicy Nacho. Then ended the night crafting her saddle. Early next morning, I mounted up and tried taking my newly tamed Anki across the water for some metal rocks, but I was quickly stopped by some insanely high-leveled megalodons.
There is a dolphin under here now. What else might be under here is the question. Oh, crap. That's a megalodon. That's a 180 dolphin. Oh my gosh, there's tons of megalodons. That's a 180 dolphin. I told you guys there's 180s on this map. Why is that dolphin a 180? That's a 290 megalodon. What is going on? 250? 285? Can I tame these level 300? What in the world is happening?
So instead, I gathered some fiber and began unlocking the Arctic armor set with the plan to return to the snow for taming the burrowbuck. But realizing I needed ghillie armor, I had a bit of a brain fart. Completely forgetting that ghillie armor is crafted in your inventory, I used 3,000 hexagons to purchase organic polymer off of HLNA, thinking I needed to make it with my Smithy. So when I eventually went to craft it in my inventory, I realized I could have just gathered the polymer off the penguins at the lake. Still, I returned to where I had seen the burrowbuck a few days ago and slipped into my ghillie armor to begin the tame.
Move, bunnies, there's an avalanche!
I just wasn't aware you had to stay crouched while doing this, and my initial attempt was an all too familiar result of her wanting nothing to do with me. Not learning my lesson, I chased her down again, and again she darted off. Still, I persisted until she hopped right up next to me for the first feed.
Oh, there it is. Nice. Okay, we got it. Burrow doe. Oh, this is a burrow doe.
Then, after a few successful feeds, the worst possible case happened. She burrowed her way high up on top of a hill where I couldn't reach her.
There's just no way this has actually happened to me right now. Like, I can't get up to it. It's literally unreachable. Okay, I have a plan. I actually have a plan. What in the world?
So I was left to try figuring out any possible way to get up to her, playing a game of cryopod leapfrog with my bear to climb cliffs, failing terribly to glide suit anywhere closer,
No!
and nearly dying along the way to the cold. But eventually I was setting up on a ledge above the rabbit, convinced that this was gonna go poorly.
I mean, when I fall, I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna scare it. One of two things is gonna happen here. Oh, there we go. Mud keeps healing me.
But when I dropped down, somehow I didn't startle it, and I fed it again.
Okay, it's back down on the ground, I think. Can I make a campfire?
That wasn't the end of my troubles though, as the cold night had me freezing to death, and I was forced to stop the tame for a moment to gather resources to get some fires going to warm back up.
There's no way I'm still losing health right now. How cold is it here? There, we're not freezing. We can start recovering some health.
By the time I regained some health, I noticed the rabbit was at another hard to reach spot, and at this point it was beginning to lose taming.
So now the taming is completely reset, which I'm assuming makes it like basically impossible to tame now.
Eventually I found a path up to some high ground across from her and glided over, but her taming was completely reset and I had to restart the process all over again, only to have her return to another ledge.
Are we being super duper serious right now?
But thankfully this one was easier to reach, and she stayed up here on the cliff for several feeds.
Yep, just guttered all over my face.
That's what she said.
If you could just finish this whole entire taming process on this cliff, I would love you for that.
Eventually she dropped and stayed down on the easier to reach spot for the majority of the process, and the taming was going fairly smooth, until an avalanche came roaring down the hill we were standing on, and after it passed she went into an absolute panic, as apparently it had broken her burrow. But eventually she calmed down and made a new one, and after a few more feeds I was approaching her to finish the tame.
This should do it. Hold your breath. No freaking way. She's on a little ledge. All right, looks like I can get up over here. Yes, yes. Hold your breath, folks. This is it. Boom! You're terrible, but I love you. Your eyes are creepy, though.
And at the small forward position, Lola. Back at base, I unlocked and crafted a saddle for Lola. Then after testing out her jumping some, I started looking over the mats I needed to craft a shipyard.
The shipyard. Which means we need to get metal cooking. That's really all we have to do is get metal cooking. So let's go get some metal, I guess. We'll just slow walk it. Well, actually, we don't have to slow walk it. We don't have to slow walk it.
To make things faster, I used her burrow ability to dig a portal right next to my drop box, which after going on a quick metal run, I would use the burrow to quickly transport the load back to base.
It's literally right on top of it.
Of course, the forges need wood to cook, so I gathered a bunch really quick, and just like that, the forges were roaring once again. With them going, it was back out to gather some more wood and thatch for the shipyard, and with that, only one material remained.
Alright, we're just missing the metal now. Do each of you have 25 metal cooked? Yes, on the dot.
Once enough metal finished, I combined the materials to craft the shipyard.
Oh, there's a Shasta out there. Surely a Shasta won't just attack me, right?
Placed it down in the waters behind my island, and did a quick review of what mats I need for crafting a ship.
Okay, now for a sloop, we need 200 metal, 60 oil. Let's get, okay, so we got to get more oil, or we got to get more metal.
So needing more metal, I teleported to another island to gather more, when my Anki would become very distraught about the state of its work conditions.
My Anki is literally stuck. What is going on, dude?
So I crowded up, but in doing so, I magically lost all the metal I had already gathered.
Surely he had more than 300 metal on him, right? Did he only have? No, he definitely had more than 300.
Still, we pushed on gathering more, and once I had enough metal, I dug another burrow to teleport back to base.
Burrow back to base. And the team's with us.
And then dumped it all into the forges to begin cooking. I then spent the night gathering wood and thatch I'll need for crafting the sloop, dumped that into the shipyard.
Just need our 200 metal, and we need to get 60 oil, which we can obviously just buy off Helena.
Jumped to the tops of some small peaks where I spotted some oil rocks to harvest, and dumped that in the shipyard as well. By the next morning, I had enough metal cooked up, so I crowded my bear and burrowbuck to take along on my first journey across the sea, and back at the shipyard, I crafted my first sloop.
There she is. There's our boat, baby. Look at how beautiful she is. I love it.
With that, I was setting sail on my maiden voyage, looking for new lands to call home.
All right, here we go. Here is our maiden voyage. Oh, we're about to steer it immediately into the shipyard. We're setting sails! 12,000 meters to go!
And of course, any ship worth her weight in wood needs a name, so I named mine the SS Dorito. And yes, I know SS stands for steamship, and this is not one, but let's not dwell on that. The journey was smooth as the seas were mostly calm, but when I approached my destination, I spotted something floating in the water off the port side, and so I swung around to check it out. It was some sort of cargo that must have fallen overboard from another ship, so I leaned carefully over the edge of my boat to grab it, trying not to fall face first into shark-infested waters.
Cannonballs, ship cannonball,
and inside were some of the different type of cannonballs you can craft for the new ships. I just wasn't sure how to actually use them at the moment.
I just want to know what happens if I just ram this thing into the beach.
Back on course, I found myself sailing into a small bay on my new island, and I couldn't help but admiring just how cool this new addition to the game is.
Bro, is this not so cool? Like, you can hate on Ark all you want, man, and I know this is this is very far from what we know and love about Ark, but is it not so cool that I'm sailing a pirate ship into this bay right now? Anchor down, anchor down.
Before bringing my ship to a rest perfectly along the coast.
Is that not beautiful? Treasure chest over there. I want to like to get rid of these things for now, though, to be honest. You don't stand a chance. I don't care if you're a 140 trike. You don't stand a chance against Yogi.
And after a short journey through the island jungle, taking out anything that dare challenge me, I had reached the location of my permanent base. For this playthrough, I wanted to build a small pirate outpost as a base, and I thought we could come up with something really beautiful tucked down inside this little waterway. I'm imagining a main building hugging the center rock formation, with smaller buildings tucked around the other walls, with walkways connecting them all. That is, if we get the time to do all of that building. And tucked behind the waterfall is a whole cave system that climbs up the inside of the mountain, with large rooms full of valuable resources I could either leave undisturbed to farm later, or potentially use as a breeding ground for my future boss fighters. And as you move further up, it opens up to an area topside that has some really great views. I'll probably never use this area, but it would make for its own great base location. So, using my handy dandy rabbit, I set up a tunnel back to my old island, traveled back to my old base and started packing everything up, so I could then portal to my new base location and begin getting my new pad down and unloading everything. Next, I got all my tames back out to welcome them to their new humble abode, and of course had to make sure Punching Bag went back on the Smithy.
Oh, there we go. How cute is that, folks? How cute is that?
So cute.
We're set up as we need to be at the moment. Like, we don't have to get any more set up than that.
After doing all of that, I realized I had some unspent skill points, so I put those into the heavy-footed skill, as I like to unlock some of the skills later down its line. Then, wanting to clean the place up some, I took out some of the bushes with Yogi, since there is really no such thing as too much fiber. And with all my taming gear packed up again, I headed back to the southeast ocean spot to try once again finding some of my harvesting tames. But instead of tames, I found an alpha carno, and thought for a moment about taking it out, even trying to use the building to cheese it.
But hold on, what if I can, like... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, it hit me.
But not wanting to risk losing my only formidable mount, I retreated. But then, I remembered I could use HLNA to watch the Carno's health, and realized this would actually be possible. It's just going to take a few rounds.
I actually could pull this off.
After retreating back to wipe out creatures and force feeding my bear to heal it up some, I returned for another round with the Carno, and after doing this process a few times, the Carno was down. But unfortunately, the loot I got from it wasn't exactly game-changing. So I resumed my hunt for harvesting tames when I would spot a level 125 Megaloceros. I tied it up with a bola, and after a few shots it went down, and I fed it some berries. But I had been gone from base for some time and got nervous my burrow was getting close to expiring, so I burrowed back home to refresh it. You see, once you use these tunnels, they only last for 1 hour, and since I'm living on an island with no biome teleporter at this time, it was very important I refresh the tunnel or I'll have to sail all the way back again. With it refreshed, I returned to the deer and waited for it to finish taming, and once it did, I named it Rudolph. And with no good doeds in sight, I ended the night at home making a full set of Arctic armor and some spiked walls. In the morning, I unlocked the medical stand, then crafted a syringe that I used to draw 4 packs of blood for myself, but I was still short on polymer for making the stand. So I gathered a small amount of flint to make some spark powder, gathered some crystal from inside my cave, and used them along with other materials to finally craft and place down a fabricator. Needing gas to power it, I got one of my forges out and combined some hide and oil to make gasoline, and as always, I used the quiet skin mod on the fabricator so I don't have to listen to its obnoxious sound. With it up and running, I began making hard polymer for the stand since the organic polymer HLNA is selling is far too expensive for my blood. And once the polymer finished crafting, I used it to help make the medical stand. Now with everything together, I returned to the Beaver Lake to see about taming that 125. The only problem was the 125 was no longer here. So instead I looted the dams that were here, then I ran all around the Arctic biome again, grabbing glitches and looking for any signs of life. But yeah, this biome is apparently broken and empty. Like, it's just empty. There's 0 spawns except for at like instanced locations like a lake and a cave. Except for this one lake that for some reason creatures still spawn at, to include a 115 beaver that had spawned in while I was out searching. Now a 115 is typically lower than what I would like, but with no other good wood gathering tames spawning in, I decided to just settle for it. Once it was out, I fed it some berries, set up the medical stand to keep it on the drip, and then for whatever reason also set up spiked walls. I'm gonna put the spiked walls around it, and I know what you're probably thinking, hey man, you've yet to see a single creature in the Arctic except for these beavers and a cave of bears. But if you know me, you'd know my luck, and my luck would be that somehow, some way, things would start spawning in as I'm taming this frickin' beaver. And with it secured and taming, I figured I might as well fire up the beta ice fishing mission from the invisible terminal. Unlike Gamma, this level of ice fishing was anything but relaxing, as I barely finished each stage before the time expired. Oh crap, wrong button. I literally slipped and hit the wrong one. And on many occasions, things did not go very smooth. But after the better part of the morning, I was reeling in my final fish, and the loot was unbelievable. Got it. That is too funny. Okay, well, that's beta ice fishing. All that for a glow stick. Not ready to try my luck at Alpha, I went back to island hopping around the ocean biome in hopes I could find a good doe to tame without having to do it in the volcano region. Which island after island turned up 0 doeds until finally I found one back on the southeast island that was only a level 105. But for a moment, I was actually considering taming it. But first, I returned to my beaver who had finished taming, although when I picked up the spikes to reveal the bucktooth bandit, it had fallen down below the ice. Thankfully, just down into the water below, and after a few missed attempts at hitting it with a ball, I got it cryoed up. And back above the ice, I named it Lonely. With Lonely secured, I returned to where I had seen the doed, but before taming it, I decided to take one more look around, and in doing so, I spotted a 145 Rex that after doing a quick scan with HLNA, turned out to have some good stats. 19 melee and 34 health though? Oh, you'll almost have to tame it. You almost have to with that health. But I didn't have gates on me for trapping the Rex, so first I chased the doed around loading it up with arrows until it passed out. Alright, there we go. Fed it some berries, and spiked it in to keep it safe. With it down, I ran home to grab the stuff I needed to gate trap the Rex, but when I returned, it was to the sound of something munching beneath where my doed was left. And when I got close, my doed was magically just gone. What? It wasn't that good anyway, so I moved on and got the Rex trapped by tanking its hits with my bear while surrounding it with gates. Nope, oh no. Wait! Don't squeeze out. That feels a little loose. Then I loaded up with arrows until the moon was overhead and the Rex was dropping to the ground. With it sleeping, I continued searching while also taking out anything in my path when a Rex would pop its head through the wall, and the level was almost unbelievable. Hello, Mr. Rex through a wall. 150 male? Are you freaking kidding me? 23 male. Okay, so nothing amazing stat-wise, but I mean, it's still a 150 male, a 145 female. I guess we're using Rex for the boss fight. So I quickly returned to the first Rex and yoinked the gates from around it, and then out on the lip of the abandoned city, I trapped the second Rex. But I was concerned it would fall through this mesh as I had already watched it walk straight through the wall, so I quickly picked up one of the gates to free it, and then after luring it down the pathway some, I returned to grab the rest of the gates. With the Rex now outside on solid ground, I trapped it again. There, that is like, you can't do a perfect square. If you do a perfect square, it'll pop out. And proceeded to load its face full of arrows until it passed out. So now with 2 Rex waiting to be tamed, I needed to find prime meat, and in my search for babies, I found another treasure bottle on the beach, right next to a potential doed replacement. 115, okay, that's not bad. From there, I returned to the first Rex and just sat around for a minute until she finished taming, and she even had some decent stats. 46 health and 32, okay, 46 health that's good. And I named her Green Chili Mama. Next up, it was the second Rex's turn to eat, but he hadn't been asleep nearly as long and did not instantly tame. So to pass the time, I tried my luck taking on a low-level acro on the beach, and Yogi handled it like a champ. The next morning, the second Rex had finished taming, so I returned to cryo it up, and it unfortunately did not get a good melee roll I was hoping for. Still, I took them both home and stood them next to each other to prepare them for some very exciting alone time. But first, I had to return to the northwest ocean spot where I had seen a level 15 Oviraptor while I was living there. But instead of the level 15, I found a level 100 with babies, who after taking out the parent Oviraptor, I would claim one of them as my own. While here, I also hopped over to the side I had placed at my shipyard and picked that up to take to my new base. And when I got back, I remembered I had never named the male Rex, so meet Grayskull. Next up, I got the baby Oviraptor out so it could start growing up, and still desperate to get my last gathering tame, I decided to go back to the volcano region where I would spot a level 110 Doid I could maybe settle for, along with a very sexy looking one, who of course was a terrible level. A little further down the hill I spotted a level 120, but after a quick check with HLNA, it actually had worse stats than the level 110. So I settled for knocking the 110 out instead, and fed it some berries to start the tame. While it tamed, I explored further in hopes of finding an even better one, but instead I stumbled onto the entrance of the Magmasaur cave, and feeling a little frisky, I couldn't help but poke my head inside with a plan of just using my rabbit to quickly tunnel away with an egg. But when I tried digging a burrow outside, it turns out I couldn't actually dig here, so instead I just found a spot I could dig and headed home as I needed to reset my burrow anyways. While here, I grabbed all the treasure bottles I've been hoarding and crafted a shovel, as just outside my base were some of the newly added parrots, and to tame them, you have to take them on a treasure hunt. But first things first, you have to give them a little wave to get them to land on your shoulder to begin the tame.
Hey, it landed. Okay, sweet. Now can I pick you back up?
With the parrot riding shotgun on my traps, I started tracking all the bottles, and at the first spot, there was actually a replacement bottle sitting right where I needed to dig. After scooping it up, I opened the first chest, and it actually had some nice fur and riot armor.
Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it.
The second one gave me some nice ghillie, the third one was just more of the same, and with that, there were no more on my actual island. So it was time to set sail for other lands and more buried treasure. Once I arrived at the next spot, I glided my way over to another chest, and this one had a nice compound bow BP. Ooh. But more importantly, looting it finished the taming process for my parrot.
Hey, we got the parrot!
And I named it Squawks. Squawks sported a whole menu full of options you could change to have him do all sorts of different stuff, but with my limited education, I couldn't be asked to figure it out and just left it alone.
Coastal treasure maps, supply drops, cave loot crates, alpha dinos.
And right away, one of Squawk's abilities would show when he started shouting about treasure, and sure enough, there was a bottle in the nearby sands. So now with even more treasure to plunder, I turned my ship on a dime and set sail for another island where another chest was waiting, but inside were some BPs that I'll never use. So it was back out to sea again to reach the next chest, which had a chitin and fur helmet inside, and after sailing the seas once more, I arrived at another island where I would dig up a chest that had a very nice blueprint for the brand new hand cannon weapon.
There's all kinds of land here. No wonder I'm getting stuck. Oh my gosh!
Leaving this island would be a little more of an adventure though, as I kept getting stuck in the rocks just off the shore, and then as I sailed back to my home island, I nearly threw my ship straight into the shore.
Let's land! Oh gosh! Oh Lord! Are we gonna talk about that? Are we gonna talk about that absolute masterclass of a break, anchor, and drift to slide in here evenly along the coast? Are we gonna talk about it real quick?
Speaking of the shore, right down from where we docked, I found another treasure bottle in the sand, and with it tucked away somewhere warm, I returned to my ship to try launching myself out of the cannons as a shortcut to get back to base faster.
Okay, how do I launch myself?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But before I could figure it out, I spotted a moss chops on the shore, which I needed to start taming for a kibble farm. So I checked its taming requirements, and it wanted a rare flower that thankfully I could quickly purchase from my local florist HLNA. And with that little token of my love, my leathery mama was falling head over heels for me. When she was hungry again, she wanted a rare mushroom, which I also bought off HLNA, and just like that, the first member of the kibble farm was tamed.
Finally got a moss chops.
Since I was already out, I went over to the large cove I originally sailed in on and placed my shipyard back down in case I need to build any more ships. Then I found another moss chops that wanted only a tintoberry to start the tame, and at this point my attention had shifted to completing the moss chops farm. A little while later I found another one that of course was another high level, but I at least had the stuff to tame it.
Oh, another moss chops. Well, one. Are we being so real right now? What do you want? Oh, what the? Whoa, whoa, oh, hold on now.
Then up the beach, I found a low-level male who, of course, wanted the impossible.
Giant bee honey. Helena. Do you have giant bee honey? Do you sell giant bee honey? Oh, you don't sell giant bee honey. Rare flower, I have that.
So I returned to the first female who wanted another rare flower to complete the tame, and with a rare mushroom, the second female was tamed as well. From there, my moss chop search continued around the coast, where I would also find another treasure bottle, and eventually I found another male who wanted cooked prime meat for its feed. So I got a fire down, cooked it up a nice juicy piece of steak, and treated it to a 2-star Michelin dining experience.
Yeah, 85, that should be a single feed. Oh, so close. Raw prime fish meat. Guess what, buddy?
But of course, it was a bit of a picky eater, and for its second feed, it wanted something that wasn't on my menu. So after getting revenge for a negative Yelp review, I claimed its male baby instead, for it to one day fulfill what its father wasn't man enough to do. When I got home with my new herd of leathery nymphos, I noticed the Oviraptor had finished raising, and so I named her Blue Chew. I set up Blue Chew in a nice little corner chair just behind the Rex, and she was ready to watch them work and to collect any eggs they drop. I also got all the female moss chops out in their new home, as well as the baby to let him start raising up. And with that done, I noticed the doe had finished taming, so I returned to the volcano to retrieve it and named it Cream Saver. Once back home with my newest tame, I decided to go ahead and clean the area up some, starting with all the plants who I would clear out with my bear to also get more fiber. I then placed all my forges back down as well as my drop box, and used my Yankee to clear out all the oil, crystal, and metal rocks as well. And once all the valuable rocks were gone, I crafted a doed saddle and used Cream Saver to start clearing out all the regular stone before placing down a stone foundation to hopefully keep things from respawning. With the inside cleared out, I took my beaver out into the open air for some wood gathering, both to get the newly harvested metal cooking, but also to start gathering what I needed for my first build, when I would stumble onto a very formidable Mega Raptor.
Oh gosh, what level is it? Oh no. Run, beaver, run! Well, he's obviously going to come after me. My beaver can in fact not take it. We gotta go. I should have brought my bear with me. Get to the water. We can swim. We'll swim away.
But the water simply wasn't deep enough, and the Mega Raptor continued to chase me down until eventually my beaver was dead, and I was left trying to scramble free.
Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good water. That's why. Oh, we're dead too. We're gonna die too. We're gonna lose all our creatures.
Thankfully, it decided to take pity on me and let me go, which would be its last mistake, as I would immediately return with my bear to get revenge.
Could you imagine if I also lose the bear? Surely the bear can win this fight.
With it dealt with, I grabbed all the mats off the beaver, then used my rabbit to dig a burrow home, popcorned my stuff over to the burrow, and once home, loaded it into the drop box and pushed enough into the forge to get them cooking all the metal. Using what metal bars I still had lying around, I crafted another storage shed to store all the stone my doe had gathered.
See how much stone we have. It's probably gonna be like 30,000.
And after a little more metal had cooked, I crafted 2 more sheds to then push all my thatch and what wood was left into them. The next morning, I returned to the beaver lake in search of a replacement, but it had completely dried up of all beavers.
Watch, now beavers aren't even spawning. Oh, hilarious.
So instead, I cleared out all the penguins with my bear. When about halfway through the slaughter, I realized I should craft a club that would make gathering the polymer more effective.
No, stop eating them, you stupid bird.
If my bird could just give me a chance to test it. So I changed its setting to keep it from harvesting, and after doing a quick comparison to make sure the club was better,
the bear was getting about like 7 to 11.
It was back to beating penguin corpses for polymer.
Oh yeah, that did a little better.
And once I was done, I took a quick peek below the ice just to make sure no beavers were swimming in the lake.
Yep, there are no beavers under there. I'm gonna leave render and come back and hope that they maybe spawn in.
And then headed off with a new plan in mind to compete in the Rhino 500. But just as I was rolling up on where the mission starts, I noticed something very interesting floating up in the sky.
Folks, we found the edge of the matrix.
So with observers watching over me from above, I started the gamma version of the mission, and it was off to the races. And with the exception of a few rough turns, the race went very smooth, and before long, I was crossing the finish line and receiving some very good loot.
That's nice. Okay, teleport back. Oh my gosh! No freaking way! We got a tech sword! Oh, and a beaver saddle. That's depressing. We got a freaking tech sword on the first try! Let's keep doing this!
Next up was the beta version of the race, which was looking much closer down the wire, and as I was approaching the finish line, I noticed that somehow my parrot just randomly died.
My parrot just died.
Apparently, when I strayed off course and the challenge teleported me back, it left my parrot and tide pup behind.
Where are my tames at?
But thankfully, the drakeling hadn't finished off the tide pup just yet.
Thankfully, it left Mudkip alone. I don't really care about... Oh, no, it did not leave Mudkip alone.
And now with it secured, I had a moment to check my loot, which was nothing amazing.
Minute 30. Oh, we can do this. We can do this.
Naturally, I decided to also give the alpha level of the race a go and blitz through it without much issue at all.
Oh, we got this. We got this. Now we cook. Now we cook. Come on. Easy. Oh.
And when I finished, I got some more useful loot.
Capro saddle, another tech sword, some stuff. Ooh! There you go. A club.
And I ended the night by taking it all home before using the polymer I gathered to craft a fabricated crossbow. After I'd spent the better part of the next morning trying to get beavers to respawn, I started crafting electronics and used them to make a chainsaw, accepting that having a wood gathering tame might be out of the picture for me. But then I decided to instead go search for a Theory when I would find another female moss chops instead, and she only wanted a rare flower to start the tame. Before I could finish her though, we were rudely interrupted by more Megaraptors, but this time my bear was here to deal with the threat. For the second feed, the moss chops wanted a mejoberry, and just like that it was tamed, and when I took her home I noticed the male had finished raising as well. So I moved him over and got him doing the dirty with all the ladies. With that detour done, I headed back out in search of a Theory, but first I had to stop and pause for a moment at this absolutely majestic Gigantoraptor perched perfectly atop a cliffside. Then a little while later I found the Theory, but it was only a level 110. So I decided to hold off on that one for now, and after hopping around my island for some time finding nothing better, I decided to return to check the ice lake once more. And sure enough, there were beavers here. They were all just bad levels. So instead of taming them, I looted their dams, took out the ones that were here, then ran out some to allow them to respawn, and came back to find new ones.
Please. Please. It just gets worse.
So I looted their dams as well, left render again, and hopped back down to find a level 110.
Baby. I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
At this point, I was willing to settle for it, so I knocked it out, fed it some berries, and hooked it up to the medical stand to keep it under.
There we go. Okay.
While it tamed, I went home and crafted a saddle from a Megaloceros and took it out into the wild to gather the thatch I needed for my first build. While out, I spotted another Megaraptor, so I made sure to steer clear of it. I stayed mowing down trees far away from it and even took on a lowly level 25 Rex who was no match for my deer. Then back at base, I moved all the thatch and wood it had gathered into the respective bins using my drop box, expanded the foundation of my pad with more thatch foundations, and relocated the forges and fabricator just to declutter a little bit before crafting a generator and getting it running. I then went to the top part of my mountain to gather some obsidian that I need for hard polymer to make myself a fridge, which I placed down and put all my perishables inside that to this point have just been stored in punching bag, to include a handful of eggs that Blue Chew had already acquired, and to end the night, I completed the kitchen set by crafting a grill. And as the day turned over, I added it next to the fridge and got some meat cooking up. Next, I unlocked the rest of the visual storage containers I'll be needing once the build is done, and also finally crafted a feeding trough for my tames, who at this point are probably on the brink of starvation, and loaded it up with any berries I had lying around base. With my stomach grumbling, I grabbed the meat off the grill before returning to the lake to find my newly tamed beaver was once again down in the water. Once I got it home, I added a line of preserving bins behind the forges, threw the improved saddle I'd gotten onto the beaver, and then used some more skill points I acquired on the bowman's rhythm skill. Then, not wanting to lose my beaver again, I teleported to another island for wood gathering when I would realize I had forgotten one key part of the plan.
I left my freaking rabbit at base. I will never get home. Yeah, beavers can swim. It's 16,000 meters away. Oh, look how beautiful the ocean is.
Bruh.
So I began trying to make the swim just to see if it was possible. Then I found a nice little hole to stop off and cry in.
Ah! Oh my gosh, why me? Why me? I was just trying to cry in a cave.
But apparently I wasn't even allowed to have a second to myself. After escaping the terror birds, I tried seeing if any of the other teleporters were closer, and apparently they had done an update to move around some of the teleport points, and one of them was much closer to home.
Oh, we got closer. We got a lot closer. Oh, yes. Well, we're on also a new island to explore here.
So I gathered some resources before giving my beaver a fitting name, Stranded. With the stuff I gathered, I crafted a raft, and it was time to set sail back towards the safety of my island.
Let's head home, folks.
And while I pass over these rough waters, I think it's worth noting that with this update, they also added a teleport spot that is literally on my island. I just didn't know that at the moment. But eventually I made it home, and after a short run through the woods on my bear, I was back in my base and cried up my rabbit, ensuring I would never make that mistake again. Wanting to get things going before focusing on the build, I crafted some greenhouse pieces as well as crop plots and the stone water intake and tank. I then teleported back to the southeast island to find a pig, with the first one I checked being way too high of a level, but the second one was perfect.
It's the prime target.
So I knocked it out, fed it berries, and once it tamed, I named it Mudslide. While here, I also took out a baby gorilla for some prime meat, then once back home threw that all on the grill to get it cooking. While it did, I force-fed my pig some Taco Bell lettuce to give it the runs, and with the poop in my pockets I went outside, built up part of my greenhouse, and added the crop plots. But when I went to load the poop, I had a little oopsie.
Oh, I just ate a bunch of poop.
Still, I continued working to get all the crops planted as my health started to slowly drain, and once they were planted, I tilled the soil with my shovel and finished off the greenhouse. Then I set up the water system as my health got lower and lower while my Tide Pup refused to heal me.
Tide Pup, you are meant to heal me. Remember that part. You're meant to heal me when bad things start happening to me. Guys, remember me for who I was. I was a man that was willing to get dirty. I was a man who never said no. There we are.
Alive again, I set up my mortar and pestles and made spark powder, then combined it with oil and cooked prime meat in the preserving bins to start making prime meat jerky. And with everything going, I teleported back to what should have been a safer island. I just first had to make it safe by taking out a titanoboa. Then it was time for some massive amounts of wood gathering with my beaver, and while doing this, I spotted a max level doid.
You know how long I searched for a good doid? You know how long I was looking for a good doid and couldn't find anything?
Back at the grind, I kept gathering wood until I spotted a parasaur in the distance with a baby tagging along, so I took out the parent and claimed the baby, as taming a parasaur was another task I needed to complete for the skill tree. Then I immediately killed the baby and used the skill points to finish the Bowman's Rhythm skill, unlocking the skills I'm after, Swift Shot and Heart Seeker. After that, I took all the wood back to base, then went back to the snow biome for some more glitches, but first I hand gathered more wood and thatch to finish off 2 more skill tasks. With those done, I grabbed the glitch I came for and went home to begin crafting the massive amount of building pieces I needed, using the inventory smithy to make them faster. Crafting continued into the next day till I reached level 80 and could unlock the Industrial Forge. And all these wooden pieces crafting also completed another skill task, and I could unlock the first tier of Swift Shot. Unfortunately, I miscalculated how much wood I needed, so it was back to the island to gather more, where I also took out a mama gorilla to claim her baby, completing another task, and then again, I immediately disposed of the useless child. Back to the task, I finished gathering the wood I needed for the last few build pieces, then I loaded up all the pieces in my doid to roll my way outside, where after clearing out a few stones, I was placing the first pillar to finally start on my build. So there you have it, that is the main build, just a simple Mediterranean style structure, taking advantage of a combination of the Tides of Fortune and Western skins that really bring this build to life. As for practical usage, this is going to be my workshop. The tall portion will be where I have my industrial forge, and then the side portion was meant to have one floor for all my visual storage and the other floor for my other crafting stations. But since I built it too close to the rock, we're just gonna have to cram things in and make it work. Still, I'm really happy with the build, and I think it'll be a great centerpiece for the cove. With the build done, I needed resources for the forge, so I started clearing out more metal from inside my mountain, and after pushing everything into storage in the forges using the drop box, I went outside and started gathering more metal from every rock I could find atop the mountain, using my rabbit to quickly hop between node locations and my Anki to do all the harvesting. I did this for some time, and then back at base I got all the metal cooking, then crafted a cooking pot and a water jar for my next plan, which involved grabbing all my Moss Shop's eggs.
See, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 25. We can make 25 pieces of kibble right now,
as well as my jerky out of the preserving bin and all my citronal out of the garden. I also had to buy sap and mushrooms off HLNA, and with all those ingredients I started cooking up some superior kibble, but the local Thai pups were not making it easy.
Bro, go away. Gosh, like you literally just got lit on fire. Go away. What don't you understand?
Still, I kept on cooking, adding more cooking pots to speed things up. Then after going back in my mountain to grab some more berries, I glided down my tunnel at breakneck speeds to return to where I had been cooking. And after buying some cactus sap off HLNA, I started brewing some cactus broth, using all the pots to get this done as quickly as possible. So with kibble, ghillie armor, and cactus broth in my possession, I teleported to the bog to start looking for X Dino Suchus that I wanted to use for the boss fight. But first, an acro found me, and I had to fight just to get away. Soon after that, I picked a fight with a level 5 Alpha Carno, and before long finished it off. But it wouldn't take long for me to realize that this area was not safe at all, as I would be constantly getting jumped by X Raptors and seeing X acros left, right, and center, to include one that would be worth taming later on.
120, okay, not bad, not a bad one. Keep an eye on that guy.
And because of all the battles, I found myself constantly having to heal my bear back up with meat just to keep it alive long enough for another attack, which also took a lot of time out of my search.
These things are everywhere down here. Okay, like this is down, this bottom area is definitely X acro country. For now, I'm not looking for one of those. So where are the dang big old crocodiles at?
Still, I kept searching, and still I spotted more X acros, but I couldn't seem to find Dino Suchus anywhere. I did find another glitch that I would of course grab, before getting jumped off my bear by one capro, who my bear would fend off, and another capro would try its luck, only to have my bear block its leap and take it out.
Yep, there's another capro.
Still searching the next day, I marked my map for an area where I was told the biggest crocs in all the land had been spotted, and then I set off for the new destination and nearly fell straight down into a hole that at the time I thought was more dangerous than it is.
Oh my, I don't know where that goes, but holy crap.
Along the way, I spotted an elder claw with a baby, and since they were bad levels, I decided to just clear them out, which immediately took a turn for the worst.
Bro is not happy. Oh crap, I'm gonna lose my bear. I'm gonna lose my bear. I'm gonna lose it. Oh my gosh, my bear's gonna die. I can't get going. I can't get going. He's on me too much. Oh, I'm gonna lose my bear. No, come on, run.
Eventually, I broke free of the bush and started to get away, only to go into water that was too deep to run through, and it was on me once again.
We're free. Let's go. Run. Get that speed, baby. Put them fat little legs to use. Oh, I hit a friggin' no. All right, we gotta fight. I should just fought from the start.
So with my bear alive but barely breathing, I had to sit for some time to force feed it meat and heal it up. Once it was good, I went back to searching for big crocs, which mostly resulted in little crocs finding me.
Oh, come on.
And eventually decided to take a break and try my luck at the Kappa race mission, starting with Gamma. Zooming through the race course with no issue till I came to a spot with some Sarcos, and knowing they share spawns with Dino Suchus, I marked it on my map to come back to later. Eventually I had the Gamma level race complete, and after taking a quick look over my loot,
more ghillie, we like the ghillie. Bronto saddle I don't need, I'm just gonna toss it out because I literally don't need it. A Bassy saddle could actually come in handy. Those flak boots could come in handy.
I fired up the beta race, and before long, it was done as well, and I had some more okay loot. Next up was Alpha, which I also completed with no issue, and got some more okay loot. So with all 3 levels now knocked out, I began heading out to where I had seen the Sarcos, but when the area looked nothing like I remembered, I checked my map and realized I was at the completely wrong waypoint.
Oh, I'm at the wrong frickin' waypoint.
And once I got around the area of the correct waypoint, pretty much every capro in the bog was here waiting to greet me. But I started to get the hang of juking them out and blasting them down. Well, at least for a little bit. Still, taking them out was helping clear spawns for the big crocs I'm after.
God, that scared my butt. Hey, Bear, I mean, like, it's really cool. Like, I don't know if you thought about getting involved, but you could have. Oh, bam!
Before long, it was already the next day, and there I was still searching, now climbing to some high ground to see if I could maybe spot something from above.
Oh, wow, I see everything from up here. I can see all the fog and all the haze.
After having no more success, I decided to take another break and try the cheaper by the pack mission, slowly following the footprints until the brute raptor spawned in, and I was not prepared for this fight in the slightest.
Oh, it can pounce. Oh, it's a high level one. Oh gosh, what the heck? Oh my gosh, that's 58,000 health. We're gonna die. No. Elena, what was that? Please, sweetheart, tell me.
I survived the first encounter with it, but not taking any chances losing my best mount, I ended the mission for now and continued adventuring through the swamp, trying to take out anything I thought might be preventing Dinosuchus from spawning in, to include Spinos.
Dude, 99 damage and I can't get close. Oh gosh, this is actually bad. Okay, come on, get in there.
Eventually I took it down, but even a low level one was nearly more than my bear could handle.
Oh, what could you imagine if I lost to a level 15 Spino?
So after searching now for the better part of 5 days and still not spotting a single Dinosuchus, I needed another break, and I chose to try my luck at Gamma King of Swing. And just to remind you, I've never played Genesis 1, and I've never used a Bloodstalker before. But to be honest, Gamma actually went fairly smooth, and before long I was finishing the race, collecting my meh loot, and feeling confident. After all, I've beat all 3 of the Spider-Man games. And so it was time for beta, and well, things did not go quite as smooth. I'm not even going to show you every single time I failed, but just know it was a lot. But eventually I crossed that finish line with only seconds to spare and collected my loot. And foolish as I am, I still tried alpha, but after many terrible failures, I gave up.
Well, that's our new record, 16 out of 19. I'm done. I'm done.
Defeated and crocless, I headed home, and when I got there, I found the forges had cooked up some good metal. And now wanting a Bloodstalker of my own, I hooked up one of my Rex to the medical stand to bleed it for blood packs. Once my Rex couldn't take much more, I unhooked it and went back to the Beaver Lakes to loot more paste and harvest more polymer. But there were barely any penguins spawning, so I tried clearing out fish in hopes of opening up more spawns and getting more penguins. Unfortunately, it didn't work, so instead I went home and stored everything away to include the prime fish meat in case I need it for later imprints. While here I repaired my fabricated crossbow with what little polymer I did get, then went to the nearby bay to get some biotoxin I'll need for another tame, when I spotted an ex-Archelon worth taming instead. But as I started to ride it, a whole gang of Megalodons showed up to get themselves some turtle soup, and while trying to defend it, I accidentally hit the Archelon in the process, causing it to attack me and forcing me to retreat.
Oh gosh, the Archelon's attacking me. Bro, this Archelon's fast. Shush!
Eventually, I lost its aggro and returned to help take out the sharks with both my fabricated bow and just a plain old hatchet. And with them dealt with, I found the turtle now up on the beach and started feeding it biotoxin to tame it.
Oh wow, this is gonna take a minute.
But then I remembered I had its kibble at base, so I quickly went to get some, came back down, and started to feed it the purple kibble instead.
Ooh, there we go. I just grabbed 5 just to be safe. I didn't know the number.
One more feed the following morning finished the tame, and I named him Crush. I of course unlocked his saddle straight away, then took my beaver just outside the cave entrance to quickly gather some wood, and while out here I grabbed what Citrono I had left off the crops. Back inside the cave, I dumped the wood into storage and crafted Crush's saddle, which I immediately slapped on his back before crowing him up so he could start building XP just a little bit faster. Next, I talked my pig into giving Taco Bell another try, as my crops were basically all out of fertilizer and I needed more to keep them growing strong. I then threw all the ingredients I needed to make focal chili into the cooking pots and got several going. And once they were done, I took my Yankee to the top of the mountain to gather a massive amount of obsidian. With enough collected, I went back downstairs and reattached another tame to the blood pack making machine, unlocked the pump shotgun I'll be making shortly, and started clearing out my preserving bins as I shouldn't need to make any more jerky going forward. In my mortar and pestles, I got more spark powder crafting to then start turning into gunpowder, and to make things easier, I put down a gunpowder bin to start storing it as the mortar and pestles finished off a small batch. With it, I began making some simple bullets, and while those went, I made a visual storage pallet to better store all of my metal bars, which I would move over from the forges. Then, with a moment to breathe, I checked the industrial forge engram to get an idea of what I still needed for crafting one. And as the simple bullets finished, it was back on task, turning them into shotgun shells and crafting a primitive pump action shotgun. While those crafted, I also got a Dino Depot cryo fridge down to store my 2 Rexes and let them heal up a little faster, as they had been bled dry for blood packs, which I gathered up from the medical stand, then headed back to the bog to search the treetops for a spider. At first, I spotted nothing but leaves and twigs that kept fooling me into thinking they were spiders, but I did find a few glitches that I would pick up during the search. Although if I find a low level, like if I find even just an okay one, it'll help me get a better one eventually, you know? 110! I mean, I think we take that. Then, just as I was yapping about settling for anything I find, I spotted an okay level one. I just first had to fend off a terror bird before I could try letting the spider grab me. And once it did start grabbing me, it just kept dropping me for some reason. There we go. No! Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. 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 Why does he hate me so much? I thought it might be because I was wearing a glide suit, but that wasn't it either. Eventually, I figured out it was a distance thing, so in a rare stroke of cleverness, I used Lola to jump right up below it. Yes, it worked. It actually worked. I don't know what's gonna happen to Lola. I hope Lola's okay down there. And now I was just sort of hanging around letting it stab me and suck me dry, but I couldn't actually tell if it was taming. And then all of a sudden, is this not working? Because I feel like it's not working. I feel like it's not working. Oh! We got it! You don't need a saddle for this? This doesn't need a saddle? It just finished. And like I mentioned before, this was my first time taming one of these, so I was actually surprised to learn you don't need a saddle to use it. But what you do need is a name, and his is Venom. Feeling good with the wind blowing through my pirate beard, I swung through the bog, now planning to build an army of X-Acros, since the Dino Sutures have not been spawning in. But first, I wanted to climb to the top of Avengers Tower just for the fun of it, and when I dove back down to swing away, I completely scuffed it. But when I hit the ground, I heard what sounded like a Dino Suchus. Oh my gosh, there's a freaking crocodile! There is a big croc down here. I don't even want to look. So I first cleared out a few small pests that were getting in the way, then went back to check, and sure enough, it was a level 125 with a decent amount of points already in its melee. I mean, I have to, right? I can't not. So I dug a burrow to teleport home and grabbed the gear and kibble I needed for taming it. But when I returned, the croc was nowhere to be found. I searched all around the area, but could not for the life of me find it, and I was starting to think I imagined the whole thing. Oh, that's a 130. That's the one we saw earlier, I think. So taking this as a final sign that I will not be taming crocs, I shifted focus to taming an acro and found a 130 I'd seen earlier. So I sit under here, and I just put shots on it, and then I run out and just feed it real quick. And after I found a small tunnel system, I came up with a plan to sit under the small overhang and let my turtle tank its hits while I shot it. I severely misjudged how short he was, or how tall he was. Okay, maybe not in here though, right? Surely not in here. Get him, Crush! Okay, now Crush goes on passive. Let him just tank it, Crush, just tank it. But the plan went immediately south when I got the acro's attention with a shotgun spread to its hide, and it proceeded to run straight under the overhang. Okay, he is not going into defense stance. I wasn't giving up though, as I kept trying to get Crush to play his god-given role as a tank. But the acro was not hungry for turtle, and this was not going well at all. Oh, it's almost dead. Eventually, I got it to stay aggro to Crush, and I kept firing away until I had nearly killed it, but just then I finally got the prompt to feed it some biotoxin. That do it? Did that do it? Did that do it? It did it! Keep going, Crush! You got this! It's already losing torpor. So I stuck with it, slipping the acro a few more doses of the jelly, but it was becoming obvious this was not going to happen, and eventually I was running for my bear's life. I need a better shotgun. It's not going to happen with this shotgun. Escaping certain death to then watch as the acro finished off Crush. Yeah, well, that's just not going to happen. High damage pump action. Well, that's why we're here. We're here to get a high damage pump action shotgun. So with it clear that a primitive shotgun wouldn't work, I went back to the snow biome to try my luck on the alpha version of ice fishing, as it had been mentioned in my chat that this mission allegedly gave shotguns as a reward. But after a few attempts where the fish just stopped showing up towards the end, I gave up and instead swung to the tops of the mountains to do the Sabertooth race mission. The race started off fairly smooth until I came to a gap in the ground that my instincts told me I needed to jump over. Oh gosh! Wow, that's a terrible mistake. Oh, you don't have to jump that. Okay. But that's what Gamma is for, right? Learning the course and still finishing with plenty of time, which rewarded me with no good loot.
But that was only the first level.
Of course, I did beta next and finished it easy, getting some amazing loot for my efforts.
Oh, yes! Why are those like the big thing about these challenges to give glow sticks?
And once I quickly completed Alpha, I got some more good stuff.
What do we get? What do we get? Another pistol? More pistols! Yes! Why is it like a trend for this mission is just pistols? Mudkip can come out.
With those done, I returned to base where I found that after all of this time of sorta healing me, Mudkip was ready to evolve.
Mudkip's ready to evolve. Hold on. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Mudkip has evolved! Oh wow, it got better stats now. That's actually kind of crazy. It's actually not bad on the health stat.
And of course, once it was all done, I had to change its name to Swampert. With the type up evolved, it was now able to be ridden, so I crafted its saddle and slapped it on Swampert, who is essentially a more advanced version of a Daedon that can also go in the water and provides you oxygen like a Diplo.
Oh my gosh, look at all these abilities.
Next, I made a few aircons and placed them down just off my pad, and then got all of the Rex eggs I've collected so far to start hatching them. And while they incubated, I took my Yankee back to the snow-covered peak near the Saber Race to harvest a crap ton of obsidian. Once the Rex eggs were nearly ready to hatch, I returned home and combined the obsidian with paste to make some more hard polymer, and just as I finished queuing that up, the Rex babies started hatching, so I quickly claimed them all and began looking over their stats.
Okay, so this one's got the 46 health though, that's good. 46 health, that's good.
Of course, these babies need something to eat, so I crafted a Rex saddle and took one of the parents back to the island where I tamed them to do a massive meat run. And while here, I also got pearls I'll be needing shortly for making electronics. Once I had enough meat, I returned home and got all the Rex back out so they could start raising, and with the polymer now done crafting, I had everything I needed to make the industrial forge. Now, I just needed to see if it actually fit in the spot I had built for it.
Alright, here's the moment of truth. Does the forge even fit? That's the real question. Oh, I have a bad feeling about that roof. Yes, okay.
With it in place, I used the leftover build parts to add a walkway off the workshop that dropped down just above the water and expanded to the front of the cave. But I ran out of pieces, so it would just have to be good enough for now, and I skinned it with the western skin to make sure it fit in with the rest of the build. And since I now had the improved forge, it was time to get rid of the old ones.
Get out of here.
Staying on the base upgrades, I decided it would probably be a good time to get all of my various visual storage containers crafting, and once they were done, I started fitting them into my workshop build, until I needed to take a quick break for imprinting on my Rex, and once they were all taken care of, I returned to install some more storage and unload any mats I was carrying. With most of the storage set up, I took another moment to look at my build from atop the cliff before moving all the raw resources from my cave pad into my rabbit's inventory. I then hopped down to the drop box outside the workshop to popcorn them all off the rabbit, and loaded up the drop box to push all the mats into the new storage. Next, I picked up my fabricator and moved it to the new base, fitting in across from the forge, as well as the generator that I would cram in beside it. And after checking to make sure the metal was in the forge and cooking, I picked up the preserving bins and anything else laying around base that I no longer needed. Moving continued the next morning as I got both my smithies moved over as well and added a drop box in front of the forge to quickly load any metal it cooks into it. And with the moving done, I went down to the bay to try finding some pearls, but unfortunately my island must be the only one in the ocean biome that doesn't have spawns on it. So instead, I went back inside to complete another round of imprints on my Rex, and while here realized I still had a few more storage bins I had forgotten to move in. Once they were in place, I went back to another island and used a whip to quickly gather any pearls in the shallow waters, and hand gathered more that were too deep for the whip to reach. Once I had enough, I returned home, and after using the pearls to make more electronics, I added another generator back where my pad was, and put my fridge and grill back in here. Since I'll be raising creatures in this cave, and they need food for imprints, it only makes sense to keep my fridge here. And with some time till my next imprint, I went down to the beach, slipped into some scuba gear, and set off towards the traditional ocean biome that's located at the 50-50 mark on the map. And this is where all the ocean related missions are. And first up, I decided to do the Wave Ray 64 race mission, starting with Gamma. And to be honest, this might be the most fun race out of all the ones I've done so far, even if at some points the mana can be a little crazy to control.
This one's actually so much fun.
Once I finished the race, I immediately did beta and finished that level with only about 7 seconds to spare. And of course, it gave me some more glow sticks. Eager to get even more glow sticks, I fired up the alpha level over the race, but I just wasn't fast enough to get it done, and after a few failed attempts, I had to give up and return to my base as my babies were ready for another imprint. But now, feeling the need for speed, I returned to the volcano region, where I would first grab another glitch, and then began doing more races, starting with the Gallimimus one called Dead Heat. This race was easy as they come. I finished with plenty of time to spare, and got some more amazing loot.
We got Oh, another glow stick! Why does this game so hellbent on giving me glow sticks? I don't understand it.
Next up was beta, and when I finished this level, I actually got some loot worth being excited for.
Ooh, you like to see that?
And of course, next came alpha, which again I finished with plenty of time, and the good loot rolled on.
Ooh, that's only 80 armor though.
Night fishing goggles. Nice. And more glow sticks.
So with all levels of that race done, I moved on to another volcano biome race, the Gotta Go Fast Doid race. Starting off strong, I rolled my Doid straight into some lava, but kept going, and before long I had Gamma completed, and no loot worth any mentioning. I completed beta next and got some desert goggles that will at least help keep me cool while I'm here, but when I was doing alpha, a few trips through the lava had my health low, and when I went across what I thought was a safe spot, it was in fact not a safe spot. So after spawning back home, I got my Bloodstalker and returned to the lava biome, and then began trying to backtrack from the start of the race to find my body, as the death marker was showing it at the start of the race instead of where I died.
Start the race, you go this way. Come down right here.
But I couldn't figure out for the life of me where I had died, so instead I fired up the Alpha Doid race again to find the exact point where I died. But when I got to the spot, my body was missing.
My body is not here, by the way. See, what I think happened is I think it tried to teleport me back as I died, and it glitched out and my body's gone. That's what I'm gonna assume happened. Oh, we just lost. I don't even know what all we lost, to be honest. I literally don't even know what all I lost. I lost my Rex, my bear, my burrow buck. I lost everything.
I even bought some materials off of HLNA to make a whip and tried seeing if I could get lucky and whip my bag out of the ground, but I had no such luck.
It is what it is. It happens, you know. People get arked. It's the Ark experience.
So with no other option, I just headed home, bought some rare mushrooms off my local dealer, and just took a little break to escape to another reality. After my trip, I refocused on the missions I still needed to complete, and at the ocean biome, I tried one called Hide and Seek, which is basically a fetch quest, but it is also the quest that gives Rex saddles.
My God, look at all of these.
But I quickly realized this quest was going to be very, very hard with all the sharks that will aggro from the other side of the ocean.
Hello? Hello? Can I ride my dude? Oh, I'm dead. What just happened? I couldn't freaking ride him.
Eventually, I got an opening to grab one, but as I did, I couldn't seem to get back on my Tide Pup. So I used my Tide Pup to heal up a little bit and then kept at it, grabbing another one of the objectives. Until eventually I realized there was a much better way to do this, so I returned to my island, but with no rabbit, I had to run back to my cave on foot.
Yeah, well, that obviously wasn't going to be as easy of a mission as I thought it was going to be.
And you can probably guess how running through Mega Raptor infested jungles went. So I respawned at home, crafted a new Rex saddle, and slapped it on the remaining adult Rex to go back down to the spot where I had died with the Mega Raptor now nowhere in sight. And after mowing down some trees, I found my body bag.
Oh, there it is. Woo, found it.
Still wanting revenge though, I hunted down the Mega Raptor on the coast and tried killing with my Rex, but it just sorta ran away. So instead, I left my Rex behind and set sail on the SS Rito to return to the ocean biome where all the missions are, and this time I had a plan. I sucked down cactus broth to keep me hidden from the wild creatures, reactivated the mission, and smoothly grabbed the first 3 bubbles, but I couldn't seem to find the 4th one.
It literally says that it's like right here somewhere.
And while searching, I saw something weird on the side of the rock and almost ran face first into the newest addition to Genesis, the Paleo Octopus.
Oh, crap. No, I'm a friend. That's the octopus. Ain't seen one of them yet. I thought that was some bubbles.
Eventually, I realized the objective was in a rock, so after buying mats off HLNA to make a pick, I harvested the rock, and once it was out of the way, I grabbed the bubbles, which moved the objective to a faraway spot, so my only real choice was to use Swampert to get there faster. Once there though, I put her away to grab them by hand since I still have the cactus broth active and hiding me from any predators. And it was on to the next spot, which was actually in an underwater structure that had breathable air as well as another glitch, and before long I grabbed the 4 out of this spot and then moved on to the next one to quickly grab those 4 as well and complete the mission. With it done, I returned to my boat where I would struggle terribly to get on and nearly got bit by something I couldn't quite make out. And it was time to check what sort of loot I got.
Alright, let's see what we got. Ready? Ooh, Rex saddle. 1, at least. Got 1 Rex saddle.
Feeling good, I teleported out while watching a shark thrash about in anger about its failure to kill me. And once back home, I grabbed some carrots out of my crop plots, did the last imprint on my baby Rex, unloaded all the loot I had gotten into storage, and created a folder in my cryo box for my Rex who weren't worthy of breeding. Then I got the worthy ones out and started breeding them up. Already sick and tired of having to run back to base on slow mounts, I teleported back to the snow biome with what is currently my fastest transport being my deer, and returned to the area where I had previously found burrow bucks. Thankfully there was one here, so I slipped into my ghillie armor and put carrots in my hotbar to tame it faster, but when I got close, the level was terrible.
Oh, level 10. Oh, that's just not good. Well, there you go.
Still, I tamed it anyways, as a weak burrow buck was better than no burrow buck, and I named him Bugs.
Where's the baby? The baby's gonna be a backup. Oh, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. This one could be higher level. This one could be a higher level.
Then, while searching for what I thought was Bugs' baby that I had seen when I started taming him, I spotted the real parent, and this one was much better.
80? We'll take an 80. We will take an 80.
After a short time, I was sneaking in for the second feed, and it was tamed.
Boom. Got her. You two. No, you two. No. You, come back here. Come back here. You're joining the squad, too.
I named the pair Jessica and Thumper. I forgot to bring a saddle though, so I crowded them up to return to base, and once there I crafted a saddle for one of them, as well as a pickaxe and spyglass to replace what I had lost to the lava. And at this point, I also had enough mats to craft a chemistry bench. So I placed it down inside the workshop, and while over here I crafted myself a canteen. Then I slapped the saddle on Jessica, and it just felt good to have some real mobility again. Wanting a backup just in case, I got Thumper out to start raising, and then crafted some flak to fill in the pieces of armor I didn't have. Of course, I had to reskin them with the pirate skin. And from there, I began planning out what mission I'd do next.
Because this is apparently where you get a shotgun, like a high tier shotgun from. So I want to go do this one so we can get shotgun.
But before leaving to potentially risk my life in the lava again, I crafted a storage box and sleeping bag, grabbed some focal chili from the fridge, and then poured it out. Once I was at the quest spot, I put down the bin with stuff I didn't want to lose, and then the sleeping bag to respawn at, and then started jumping from rock to rock across the lava, using the focal chili to make me a little bit faster as I retrieved the first bubble. I continued jumping my way to the second bubble, using my glide suit to make it easier to get across any risky gaps, but then after grabbing the third bubble, I glided straight into the lava and nearly killed myself. But thankfully I managed to climb out before becoming full-on Darth Vader. Soon after that I got the fourth one, but on the way out nearly died again and began reconsidering this whole thing.
Okay, I'm gonna die on solid land. I'm gonna die on solid land this time. If I'm dying, it's on solid land. Survive, please! Okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this one, guys. Screw the shotgun, I don't care about it.
Still, I picked up my box and bag and headed for the second spot that was in a much less dangerous area and quickly grabbed all 4 bubbles. But the bubbles in the next spot were sitting right under some toxic gas that nearly killed me earlier, and as I tried approaching, I was again suffocating.
How do I get that? I have to wait for it to go down, I'm assuming?
So I quickly got my box and bag down before I died. I respawned back in and put another bag back down, but after realizing the mission had failed when I died, I teleported closer to the Dode race, returned to it, and put down the box and bag here, and started the alpha level race again. I rolled straight on through with no issues and finished the race, and had to check what loot I got.
Yes!
Now eager for more racing, I returned to the ocean biome and fired up the Gamma Bottle-Nosed Blitz race.
Oh, they're still coming after me. I'm on a dolphin!
And after having some sharks show up to send me off like I was Gary Oak, I blitzed through the underwater race, and before long I had finished the Gamma mission. Once I portaled back to the start, I had to quickly mount up on my tie pup for safety and check what sort of amazing loot I had gotten. Next, I raced through the beta level and got a Yudi saddle that would have been great if I had any spawning in my snow biome, and then I blasted through alpha and got no loot worth mentioning. But I did find more glitches on the way out. After that, I went back to do the alpha ice fishing mission once again, but after a few slip-ups, I couldn't be asked and gave up.
Oh, crap. Oh! Oh!
And instead started the Searching the Frozone mission, but after seeing the cave was again full of bears, I changed my mind.
I actually don't feel like doing that one right now. Not without my, if I had my Rex on me, sure.
Instead, I headed back home and used my parasaur to harvest a bunch of berry bushes in the cave, began making up a bunch of narcotics as well as a crap ton of cooking pots to take advantage of the glitches, which got me to a high enough level to unlock the MVP of this playthrough, the Gene Scanner. So I bought some black pearls off HLNA as the last resource that I needed for crafting one, and for laughs, I decided to see if Dino Sutures were on the map, and sure enough, it found one.
Oh, it works. Wait, hold on, which way am I pointing?
So I grabbed the kibble and gear for taming one, teleported back to the bog, and pulled the scanner back out, to which it was pointing me back to the same area I had seen the 125 earlier. And after searching around some, I found not one, but 2 crocs in the next gap over from where I had seen it.
Oh, there they are! There's one right, there's two of them. Oh.
As apparently I'm just blind as a bat, as one of them was actually the same 125 I had spotted before.
Where the heck was this thing hiding? This is the same one, the 33 melee, right? Now, what's the other one? Freaking 112, okay.
So I walked up and fed it one piece of kibble, but then on the second feed I messed up and almost got chomped.
See, they're gonna take 3, it's gonna take 4. Kind of need the other one to move away. Oh.
And after they both chased me down into the pit, they just kind of started scissoring. But eventually they separated and I got back to feeding the level 125 till it was nearly finished.
All right, one more and this one's done, baby. This is why I wanted them. They're so easy to tame. Like, they're ridiculously easy to tame for how good they are.
One final feed finished it off and I crowded up to check its stats.
49 melee. 49 melee. Oh, it could be better, but you'll love to see it.
From there, I started feeding the 120 and it was going super smooth until HLNA got jealous and decided to interfere.
You stupid little robot!
But after putting her away, I got the last feed to get it tamed and crowded up. Then as I was leaving to track down another one on the scanner, it turned out to be just up the hill.
Oh my gosh, there's a third one right here! Bro, no way, they're spawning in rapidly now! 125 male! Oh, crap. Oh, hello. Yeah, actually, come down here. Oh, no.
Of course, that capper was no match for my Rex, and with it out of the way, I used HLNA to scan the Dino Suchus.
21 melee, 32 health. Okay. It's got the health stat. This is ridiculous, dude.
But before taming it, I needed to get rid of an acro that would surely ruin the whole thing, which resulted in it launching my Rex one time.
Oh!
But I got it down and returned to smoothly tame the male croc, and of course, checked its stats.
45 health. We got a combo. There's more, dude. Oh, that's a Sarco. Never mind. Okay, level 40. Okay, we're taking this one out.
The fight was closer than I would have liked, but eventually my Rex took out the level 40, and at this point I was going to kill off any low levels in hopes of getting better ones to spawn. And something did spawn in that exact same spot. It was just a level 15. Apparently this spot is hot for Dino Suchus, and my work of clearing out the bog earlier must have had a positive effect on them. As I used the scanner to track another one at a different spot, but it was only level 75, so I got 2 of my crocs out to have them deal with it.
Bro, dominating him.
But when it was gone, I still heard the sound of another croc nearby, and I found it swimming in the water, and this one was a really good level.
140? It's a 140!
So once it came out to land, I snuck up and fed it, only to then have another acro come trudging in to make this tame much more interesting. But eventually it went away, and I continued feeding the croc.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Until it was tamed, and it got an insane roll on its health stat. Eager for more, I pulled the scanner back out, and either they're just spawning now, or I was just blind before. But either way, I'm not complaining.
There's more! There's more!
But before I could find the next one, a capper wanted to remind me that they exist too, so I took that out with my Rex. Then got one croc out to fight the low-level wild.
Pretty sure she can solo it.
But not wanting to risk losing it, I got my Rex involved as well. A little while after that, I tracked down a 105 croc and tamed it as well, since with no oxygen stat, even a 105 can end up with great stats. But it didn't, and she would just be an extra breeder. Then, late at night, I spotted another 105 female and began taming her as well.
47 melee! What?
I finished taming her shortly into the morning, and she actually got a crazy roll on melee. But with that, no more were showing on the scanner, so I took all the crocs back to base, and after getting stuck on them for a second, I got them breeding.
The male has 12,000 health to start. Before imprint.
Then, after having another look at their stats, I had to cryo one to grab its egg, and when I got it back out, it nearly threw me to my death.
Away, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I want it to do, but I want it to not... Oh! That was so scary!
So I moved my Oviraptor closer so that doesn't happen again. I unlocked the croc's saddle and glided down through my tunnel to my workshop to craft one up. I slapped it on one of the crocs that didn't make the breed team and gave it a few levels, then got my Moschops back out to continue making eggs since crocs are now back on the menu. And before long, some eggs that I had thrown out were already hatching, and I was crying up the babies to see what kind of stat combos they got. I then got the babies lined up to start raising them, and once they had enough meat on their inventory to sustain them, I headed out to my favorite meat farm with my adult croc to get more. The next day I returned to base to give the babies a little extra meat and dump the rest in the trough, then grab some citronal out of the garden to make up more kibble. This time maxing out production with a whole hotbar full of water jars to queue up multiple kibbles in each pot. And while here, I also made some more cactus broth to keep me cloaked. Before leaving though, my babies were ready for their first imprint, and with them taken care of, I headed back to the bog to look for more crocs, where I would find one that was swimming below the mesh.
Oh, and it's a 110. Oh, we got it out. Yes, we popped it out.
And with it out, I fed it kibble till it was tamed, but it had no good stats, so it was just going to be another breeder. But figuring it could for now tag along and provide me a mate boost, I went back to base to craft a saddle, which I immediately put to use fighting an ex-acro who would be no match for my croc combo.
Oh, we messed on it.
And I also took out any more crocs we found that were not worthy of taming. While doing this, I grabbed another glitch, but I needed to head back to base to use a combination of my medical stand and Tide Pup to heal up my crocs as they were getting somewhat beat up from all the battles. While waiting, I threw out a few more eggs just to get them partially incubated while I was here, then did another imprint on my existing babies, before going back to the bog to try a cheaper by the pack mission again, this time with 2 monster crocs. I followed the tracks until the raptor showed up and the 2 gigabytes would send it running instantly. Of course, I tracked it again and sent it running again, and after tracking it once more, it brought its raptor friends with it. But I quickly mowed them down and the mission was done, and I had plenty of loot.
Oh, we took out the brood already. Now it's just regulars. That was easy. Don't bother. Oh, you like it? Oh, look at all this gear. Oh my gosh, dude, we got so many picks. Like, how do we pick one?
So I tried doing the beta version of the mission, but when the raptor showed up, it was much stronger than before.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, it's strong. Oh, it is a strong guy. Actually, it actually is going to kill my crocodile. Holy crap.
So after watching it kill my female croc, I gave up on the mission.
Oh, you guys were not kidding. Wow. You love it. You love to see it. You love to see it.
Instead, I continued my croc hunt when I would find a 115 and a 125 together, so I sucked down some broth, and after a handful of feeds, the first one was done, but again, it had no great stats. A few quick feeds got the second one tamed as well, but again, it did not have amazing stats either. Later on, I spotted another really high level one, but a pre-tamed scan of stats showed nothing crazy good.
Oh, 26 health, 31 melee. Oh, it's neither of those are really that fantastic.
Still, I tamed it anyways, and yeah, it didn't come out with anything groundbreaking considering it has no oxygen stat to steal points. So I continued most of the day just wiping out a bunch of low level ones I was finding, until I eventually tracked down one on the edge of the bog that was worth taming.
Oh, there's one out here. Look at that big fella. 120 female!
It wasn't trying to come back to land though, so I swam out to it.
Oh gosh, this is dangerous.
And sure enough, it was dangerous as I somehow got stuck on the croc.
Guys, I think I'm gonna die here.
It chomped down on me and then swatted me away, but thankfully I lived and after losing its aggro, returned to continue feeding it. And after upsetting it when I accidentally picked berries instead of feeding it,
yikes!
I was reminded you can hold a toll while trying to do this to prevent you from grabbing anything else, and before long, it was tame. But again, it was another low stat breeder. So I went home and got the new ladies on the breed pile, then used over 35,000 hexagons I had piled up to buy a tier 3 loot crate.
What in the heck is that? Oh, it's everything we needed. Everything I could have asked for just got dropped in my lap.
Which gave me some owl poop, but also a literal acro taming kit. So with my focus shifted, I unlocked the advanced sniper bullet engram, then used the snow owl pellets to fertilize my gardens to never need poop again. I made a folder for my dino sutures that I'm not using for breeding, then took my Anki out to the waterfall to gather up the metal nodes that have been sitting around my base, popcorning everything in front of the drop box to load it in and push it out. And after checking the forge to make sure the metal was cooking, I began making what sniper bullets I could. Then I made a butt ton of spark powder on my chemistry bench that I would turn into gunpowder, and while that turned into ammo, I of course had to take my new rifle out to test it out on the most threatening creature I could find, before also testing it out on something a little weaker in a stego. Satisfied, I went back into base and grabbed a bunch of ammo that had finished crafting, and then back outside on my way down to the bay, I took down an alpha raptor I'd seen, as well as another mega raptor, before returning to the water to take out and harvest a few more jellies to make sure I had enough biotoxin. With it, I teleported back to the bog where I would find a decent level X acro.
Oh, there's a 130.
It just had terrible pre-tame stats. Still, I prepared to tame it, putting the biotoxin in my hotbar and drinking a broth so everything else would ignore me. Then I started firing shots into its head from range. Once it was nice and upset, I ran in to feed it some of the toxin, and then proceeded to do this over and over as it was occupied fighting every creature in the area. Eventually it got annoyed with me and turned its attention, but after ignoring its fake roar, I loaded more shots till it gave me the big one and I slipped it some more toxin. I kept on doing this round after round, damaging with my rifle till it roared and sprinting in to slip it some toxin, until eventually with my forehead dripping of sweat and fully puckered, I was slipping it what would be the last bit of toxin.
One more, hopefully. No! Yes! We did it! We did it! Oh, baby, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was gonna work. It looked so bad at one point, but we got it. A 130 with terrible stats is down for the count. Oh, it took literally like half my bullets. Actually more than half. I had like 330 to start. I have 136 to end it. Oh, man. Stay it on. Get away from it. Come over here. Oh, it's stuck on it. Dude, that's so annoying.
And not risking losing this thing, I just stuck around watching as of course creatures showed up to come check out what I've done, which would be the last thing this Daedon ever does. Knowing I should get an XP boost from taming the Acro, I also went and grabbed a nearby glitch and came back to watch over it as another Acro was in the distance.
Oh, there's another one over here. Oh, level 5. Oh, there it is. Nice.
With it finished, I crowded up, but it didn't exactly get amazing stats. Still, it was done, so I moved on and grabbed another glitch and decided to do another mission where I have to escort a frog to its family pool, which on Gamma was a breeze as my croc mowed through anything that got close, and before long we were arriving, and I got some decent gear from it.
There's the froggy pool. Woo, go on home, son. Nice. I got some stuff that made me now... Oh!
A mining drill.
Back home, I crafted some more electronics, the saddle for my Acro, and used the electronics for another fridge as I needed somewhere to store all my spare meat. Of course, now saddled, I had to take the Acro out of the cave for a little test run and named it Godzilla. Then I brought her back inside to look over all my other tames before immediately recrying her to take her with me. As I made up some more gunpowder to turn into more rifle bullets, grabbed my biotoxin back out of the fridge, bought some organic polymer I needed to repair my ghillie armor, and right as I arrived in the bog, spotted a high-level male Acro that could be my lady's mate.
Oh my gosh! Bro, we were coming over here to check out a crocodile!
If only HLNA could scan it so I could see its stats.
Wouldn't it be really cool, HLNA, if you frickin' scanned this thing? I just want to see its stats really quick so I know if it's even like really worth taming. There we go. 16 health and 20 melee. Guys, I don't think this one's worth it. I don't think I even tamed this one.
Eventually I got it to work, and it was in fact not worth taming. So instead, I went Acro v Acro with it, and the fight was actually not going well at all, as it was doing more damage to me than I was to it.
But I use it. Oh, there we go.
But eventually, it went down. And a little while later, I spotted another decent male Acro, and after checking its stats, I had to at least consider it.
Ooh, a 125 male. Okay, if it has good stats, I'll settle. 18 melee, 29 health though. Oh.
But ultimately, I passed on it for now and went looking for crocs when I would find a max level one.
24 health, 31 melee.
Who had a decent pre-tame melee roll, so of course I started feeding it. And before long, it was tamed, and it was time to check the stats.
Yes! I got it! 51 melee, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
With that secured, I went back to looking for an Acro I could breed with one I already had tamed, but every single one I found was not worth taming. So instead, I went home and got any crocs that were ready for another round, breeding again. And with this being the last time I would let them breed, I crowded them all up, and started making a crap ton of Dino Balls for all the soon-to-be babies. The two I'd already started incubating earlier hatched first, and I checked their stats. And once the crocs had incubated some, I also threw out all my Rex eggs to hatch them as well. Before long, the rest of the baby crocs started hatching, and I crowded them up, and moved any that I deemed worthy of the boss fight into a separate folder. Until the next morning when the Rex would start hatching as well, and since they have a guaranteed stat roll due to their parents, I just grabbed the number I needed to round out my boss team. And I got all the babies out to start raising them together and fed them as much meat as they could carry. Once they were good, I went back to the bog to look for an okay Acro I had spotted earlier, only to find it dead in the water. So instead, I kept searching until eventually I found the 125 with 29 points in health and decided to settle for it, with the main goal being just to get a baby I can imprint on. I started firing shots at its head as it stormed in on me, switching to defense stance just before getting to me. And I just continued to fire shot after shot to make it upset, and snuck in time and time again to slip it that sweet jelly, until it was time for the final feed.
There you go. Ready to fall down, pal? And he's down.
With it down, I fed it the kibble and did a little excavation to make sure nothing could sneak up on me. Then I just hung around waiting on it to tame, as this cliff was a mesh drop waiting to happen. And when he tamed, his stats were actually not that bad.
36 health, 31 melee. Not the worst it could be. It could be worse.
So I took him home and got him out to breed with my lady, and immediately got the egg incubating. While waiting on it, I crafted some grapple hooks for my next mission. Then it was time for a round of imprints on all the existing babies, and before long, the acro was hatching as well.
There it is, a 201. Hello, sweetheart, and it's good looking. It got 36 health and 31 melee. It got both of the good stats.
With it now ready to join the daycare, I got all the crocs back out of my pad to make seeing them easier, and all the babies were out and raising up together. So I crafted some parachutes, grabbed some kaolin soup out of my fridge, and headed to the volcano biome to try finding the entrance to the magmasaur nest. Thinking I had found the hole, I put my box and bag down, but this was in fact not the spot at all, as I found a little mesh hole that probably isn't meant to be here, but thankfully I was able to glide my way out.
Is this not the entrance? Am I a fool? Did I go to the wrong spot?
So I picked up my stuff and tracked the egg extraction mission that is at the actual entrance to the volcano. And once I got to the actual entrance, I put the box and sleeping bags back down and stored my stuff. But as I began making my way in, I saw something strange and glowing in my path.
The heck is that? Oh, X-Rock Elemental. Ooh, a 120. I wouldn't mind getting that egg.
Luckily, I was able to avoid that and made my way down the cave using grapples to stay high to the ceiling and the cactus broth to mask me. Eventually, I was gliding over top of the nest that had a few eggs, landing on a cliff above them to plan my heist. A parachute down to the eggs, and it was time to see what I was getting.
This is a level 25. That's absolutely terrible. This one is a level, come on, baby, please. 80? Oh, is there any other eggs?
So, not wanting to settle for either of these low-level eggs, I began trying to grapple back up, but kept missing and had wasted almost all my grapples.
Oh, well, that's our last grapple.
Eventually, I managed to grapple up a little lower, glided across the way, and used my last grapple to get myself up onto the edge. Where nearby, I found another nest with a single egg, and this was my last hope for a good egg.
Alright, well, I guess we're getting this egg room. No matter what this egg is, it's the one we're getting.
So I began making my way down to the edge by slowly falling down the cliffside, and after a few drops down, I made the jump over and glided into the nest, and it was an amazing level.
Elena.
All that was left now was to wait till just the right moment to grab the egg and teleport out before the mama blasts me with her molten goo.
Oh, Helena, now, Helena. I mean, I'm really like that. I'm just really like that. Easy peasy. 145 mag. Who said it? Who was it? Who's in here? Who said I couldn't do it?
Feeling good, I popped into base to drop off the egg in my fridge, then went back to the chest I had left my gear in to find a nice little surprise inside.
I have a Sarco chibi. I didn't even know I had that.
Back home, I unlocked and crafted a bunch of standing torches, placed them down in a ring, and loaded them with wood, and after dropping the egg in the center, I lit the ring of fire to get it incubating.
There we go, it's incubating.
Just in time for another round of imprints on all my already raising babies. And once they were good to go, I teleported back to the volcano biome, this time to use the mining drill I'd gotten a while back to mine sulfur, which I stayed doing for some time and completely forgot that I was here getting it for a baby magmasaur that was about to hatch. By the time I returned, it had already hatched, but it was still breathing, so I claimed the little lava beast and filled its inventory up with sulfur. And the other babies needed meat, so I portaled back to the southeast ocean island, and after pumping up my male acro's health and melee some, I stormed the beaches, taking out every living creature for all their delicious meats. When I got back home with it, the acro offspring was ready for an imprint, and then I unlocked and crafted the scuba tank and flippers, and portaled just down to my own island beach, as I wanted to find and tame the newest addition to Genesis, the paleo octopus. But after struggling to find one the old-fashioned way, I remembered I had a gene scanner that would make this whole process much easier. Even with the gene scanner though, I still struggled as the verticality of the ocean was more than my brain could process, and when I finally did find the octopus, it was not alone.
Oh, there it is. Can it attack me when it's in that mode, or is that... Oh, there's two of them over here. Oh, wow, that's a feral. Okay, let's just get out of here. Feral, oh my gosh, everything's feral. Everything's feral around here. Ah!
So after trying to deal with the eel myself, I decided to just get my big old croc back out, and after munching away at the eel, I spotted the octopus hiding amongst the reefs.
Finally find an octopus, and it's accompanied by everything else.
And by everything else, I mean literally every single shark that has ever been born into existence. Still, I pushed through them wave after wave until it was just me and the octopus, and when I swam up close, it pulled me right in.
Hey, yes.
But just as I was getting excited to start my own X-rated video, we were rudely interrupted.
Yep, things absolutely will come attack me.
And the octopus didn't seem to even mind, as it just sort of held me there while the sharks beat the ever-living crap out of me. Thankfully, I was able to eventually force my way free and managed to swim off to the safety of my croc. But that octopus was now a bust, so I had to track down another one, and all I could find was a measly level 30.
Oh, it's level 30. Okay, I don't see any sharks. I think I could try to do this one.
Still, I swam on up, it grabbed me nice and tight, and our film was finally underway. Each time it started to shake with anger, I slipped it a little bit more biotoxin.
Did we do it right? Did we do it right? I think we did it right, guys.
Until eventually it had been given enough and just started plummeting to the ocean floor.
Oh, I was like, hey, you want to stop? You want to stop falling, please?
The only problem was when I went to add it to my tracker while I went out to fetch its meal, it wasn't on my tames in progress.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. It just disappeared. There it is. It's right there.
So I swam up to it and just gave it some raw fish meat to at least get the tame started and tracking properly. But to mine and my new dolphin friend's surprise, that was going to be enough to tame it instantly, because well, it was only a level 30. With it tamed, I took it back up to the shore to admire it.
Look at that thing. That looks so flipping cool, man.
And once I was done blushing, I named it Doc Ock. With that, there was one other Genesis creature I really wanted to tame, the Feryx. So I teleported to the volcano region again with my mining drill, this time to harvest every one of these red crystals I could find, which happen to hold element shards that I'll need for making element to tame one. Back in the snowbiome, I did just that in the mission terminal that lies just outside the Feryx cave. And after clearing out a few bears from the mouth of the cave, I was free to check out the Feryx I had to choose from.
Well, 65. We definitely have enough to do that one. Level 135.
Unfortunately, I forgot my grapples, so I burrowed back to base to make some, and when I returned to the cave, I used HONA to purchase one more element, as I was actually one short of what I needed to tame the low-level Feryx.
Not seeing any Feryx anymore.
Well, when I entered the cave, I found a pack of wolves, and after taking them out, there were no Feryx in sight. So instead of taming a Feryx, I fired up the Searching the Frozone mission, and headed into the cave on my croc to track down the bubbles. Of course, bears and wolves alike would try to stop me, but unfortunately for them, I was riding a crocodile with the bite force of Joey Chestnut, and the first 3 bubbles were mine before I would spot a Feryx that I wouldn't possibly be able to tame.
A 150 Feryx. Oh.
So I grabbed the 4th bubble out of the cave and headed off my rabbit to quickly reach the next location of bubbles at the Beaver Lake. I quickly swam around and grabbed all 4 of them before resurfacing, and it was on to the next location to grab those 4, as well as the 4 at the final location to complete the mission for the loot.
Useless stuff.
With how easy that was, I fired up beta and again quickly grabbed all the bubbles from all the zones, and again I got no loot worth much at all. Before doing alpha though, I had to return to base to handle some imprints, and with them done, it was back to the snow to quickly fire up the alpha difficulty. And after a quick race around the Arctic grabbing the bubbles again, all 3 levels were done, and this one did at least give me a Rex saddle. So seeing as how my Arctic biome being empty makes my missions a little easier, I looked over any other missions I could do, and settled on the gamma level of Home is Where the Pouch Is, where I would have to escort a baby Procoptodon back to its mommy as wild threats tried their hardest to become Anakin Skywalker. Unfortunately for them, this youngling was protected by my giant croc, and Gamma would as usual prove to be no issue at all as I chewed through any threats till we had reached the Mamaroo. But little one was being a little shy about the reunion.
Hello?
Nothing a little punch to the back of the head couldn't fix, and with it, the mission was complete, and I figured surely my croc could handle beta as well. So I followed the baby Roo down to the start point before getting my croc out to defend it, but after the first wave, it was very obvious I was going to need backup if I had any hopes of getting beta done. Even then, the Roo was already too weak, and after a few more waves, creatures got through and finished it off. So I tried again with my back out from the start, sending her ahead on aggressive to cut off any incoming enemies as we pushed through the snow with our little Roo, taking damage from time to time, but still moving forward. That is until we were literally at the very last leg of the mission when the Roo would die, and it wasn't until afterwards that I would remember the croc had a tail swipe ability.
Yep, that would have been awesome to have done that one time.
But on a positive note, back at base, my crocs and Rex were now fully raised, so I got them in cryos to start building passive experience. I then repaired some of my armor that had been broken during the missions, and grabbed whatever hazard gear I had on hand in hopes I would get the rest from the missions I was about to go do. Before leaving, I crafted a few more storage boxes to place down, as at this point, I was overflowing with gear and saddles I'll never actually use. And with that, I headed to the lunar biome for the first time all playthrough, where I would immediately begin taking tick damage due to the whole not having a full hazard suit thing. And an enforcer would show up to become a quick bucket of bolts, courtesy of my croc. I of course only came here to knock out some easy missions, starting with the gamma level of Space Jam.
Oh gosh, don't jump.
I just wasn't aware of the whole low gravity thing, which also affected how the bulb dog flies through the air. But eventually I got the hang of it and started making shot after shot until the gamma level of the mission was complete. Beta was next and went fairly smooth, and before long I was making the last shot, which rewarded me with a Carcanos saddle I would have loved to have if I had tamed a Carcanos. So next up was Alpha, which admittedly did not go as smooth, and then for some reason it just ended, even though I still had time left on the clock. Still, I tried it again as meteors were literally raining down all around me and my health was depleting rapidly.
Get in. No, come on!
But finally I made the last shot, the mission was complete, and I was racing back to my croc to teleport back to safety. That is, if my teleporter would work. Now I don't know enough about how this works, but I'm assuming because I was taking damage, it wouldn't teleport me. And since I already had the maximum number of burrows up, I couldn't burrow out either, and well, I died.
That sucks.
After respawning, I teleported back to the lunar biome and began racing away from all of the suck towards my body when I would hit one of the gas pockets and got launched into the air.
Oh, okay. Will I come back down? Nope, apparently not. And something tells me this is not going to feel too good when I land. But we're not taking radiation damage, right? Oh, now we are.
Thankfully, I managed to make it back to my tames, but still taking damage, I was going to die once again. And so before I did, I quickly placed down a storage box to store all my stuff, ensuring it doesn't glitch out. With my bed still on cooldown, I tried to just spawn into the lunar biome, but I was still a long shot off, and when I tried using a vein to jump up, I knew it wasn't going to happen.
No way do I make it all the way up there.
So I used my implant and just waited to spawn at home, taking my spider with me to quickly zip over to the other tames, and since we were currently in shade, I was able to cryo them all up and teleport back to safety of my ocean island, where I would then hop my way back home. Back home, I crafted another Dino Suture saddle to then head to the bog for more missions. But with a mission terminal just out of reach, the local Capro gangs would once again show up to greet me.
What is happening to me?
Taking out one wasn't enough though, as its buddy was still there to immediately pounce me.
I can't fire a rifle underwater. Jessica, come on.
Jessica would eventually listen and leave the water, and at this point I was just taking out my frustration on the lily pads. But with them dealt with, I returned to fire up the bog fishing mission.
Am I supposed to be getting the piranha or the other guys?
I just had no idea what I was supposed to do. And after making one attempt that netted nothing, even my croc, who I brought along to defend me, was laughing in my ear. After one more quick failure to figure out the mechanics, I had it down and I was pulling in piles and piles of fish like it was nobody's business. And after a short while, the mission was complete.
Yes, that was easy. Okay, I like that one.
I completed beta on my very first try as well, and now it was time to attempt alpha, which did not go as smooth as the previous two levels. Still, I kept trying for the entirety of the next day, too stubborn to give up and head home, with too many of the failures coming down to me failing to get the last few catches pulled to shore in time. And when a pair of leeches had nearly sucked all the health out of me, I was forced to throw myself on the fire to burn the suckers off. And despite me employing a brilliant strategy of using my croc to distract the piranhas away from the salmon, I still kept failing and finally gave up. And instead, I hopped my happy butt over to the another bog hunt mission. And after quickly picking up all the bubbles from all 4 locations, it was complete. But instead of doing the next difficulties, I decided to do something a little more fun, and fired up the gamma version of Bog Beatdown, grabbing the bow and arrow and getting to work exterminating the hordes of creatures.
Okay, that was my fault. That was all my fault. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad.
Okay, so things might have started off a little rough as the creatures immediately swarmed me, but with some practice I got the hang of it and began circling around the ring, firing arrows at my trailing adversaries. When the next round started, the wyverns were let out of the gate, but in this instance they were no match for my primitive arrows, and I kept running around taking out enemy after enemy, from giant dodo birds to spinos and killer chickens. Nothing stood a chance. and eventually the brood mommy herself had joined the fight, and she would fall like all the rest. Now all I had to do to complete the mission was finish off 1 dillo and 2 frogs.
I can't even quit the mission.
So with that absolute disaster added to my growing list of absolute disasters, I grabbed some new gear from base and returned to the scene of my latest death to grab my gear off my lifeless corpse once again. And of course, I immediately fired up the gamma version of the mission again, and before long I was once again facing the broodmother, this time even being smart enough to use the flame arrows. Before long she was down, and after eliminating her last few minions, I had completed the mission, and was in for one heck of a surprise when it came to the loot.
Oh, a fishing rod. Oh, a Dino Sutra saddle. Wait, this is where you get the Dino Sutra saddle then. Oh, this is where you get Dino Sutra saddles? Bro, we should have been farming this thing.
So I got on my Crocs and had them stand guard on one of the pathways down and loaded all my gear into them for safekeeping, before returning to fire up the beta version of the mission, which now that I had the hang of things, it was actually going much smoother than the gamma, despite each creature taking multiple shots to kill, and before long I was on to the next round and now using flame arrows.
Except for here's the issue, there's a creature that doesn't actually exist. Oh, it's down there. Hilarious.
And then during the third round, I was informed of something that would make this much easier. Apparently, you don't have to stay in the center of the ring, you can actually run all around the water area as well. With it going smooth, I wanted to test out some weapons. First the crossbow, which was great, but not very fast, and then the flamethrower, which was just chaos. But I preferred the smooth shooting of a nice bow and arrow. Before long, I was on to the final round, fighting the broodmother and her lackeys, and after taking everyone else out, it was just me and Mama Brood standing. So I planted my feet in the water and fired arrows straight into her face until she dropped. When she did, I of course had to see what loot I got.
Ooh. We only got the 1 Dino Sutra saddle though. We would have loved to have gotten like 3.
Even though beta went smooth enough, I still didn't think I could take on alpha, so I headed home to repair any broken gear. And while here, I got my creatures out to begin giving them any levels they had gotten sitting so they could begin healing, bringing all my Crocs and Rex to 25,000 health, and then putting all the remaining points in their melee. But before I could think too far ahead on the boss fight, I still had plenty of missions to do as I had severely miscalculated how long these things take. So I ported back to the snow and began taking on the gamma version of Built Fjord Tough, the snow version of Bog Beatdown. The mission went mostly smooth as I used a pump shotgun to take out all the snow creatures that I'm seeing for the first time this playthrough. And when King Kong showed his ugly head, I switched to the tech grenade launcher for some absolute chaos, before settling for a simpler life of a compound bow to finish off the mission.
Did I get any? Ooh, Rex saddle.
That was a little too crazy for me to want to do beta though.
Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing here, so this is going to be a learning experience for this one.
So instead I opted for another snow biome mission, Mound over Matter, that I didn't really know what to expect. After realizing the danger that comes with this mission, I decided to get one of my Crocs out to handle things much easier. And handle things it did as I would Giga Chomp an entire horde of enemies into the snow. And before long, I was digging up my first snow mound, which luckily enough had a golden nugget, but the next several ones had some much less fun surprises waiting below the snow. Eventually I found the final nugget and immediately jumped on Jessica to blitz out of the area, following HLA's markings to my escape, as all sorts of bad guys were showing up to try stopping me. But I jumped straight over their heads as they stood awaiting me, and as I passed them, the mission was complete and I was rewarded with my loot. With it done, I decided to try the beta version of the mission next, and knowing it would be a big step up, I brought another of my Crocs along to provide me a mate boost and an extra mouth of teeth. But even with 2 Crocs, the mission still grew challenging, so next up to join the mining company was my Acro. That didn't mean my journey to the gold would be flawless though, as a Microraptor would dismount me at one point, but eventually I was digging up the first piece of gold, then a Perlovia who would of course maul my face, and eventually the second piece to then make another hasty escape using my rabbit, to get another haul of semi-useless loot. From there I grabbed a few more glitches while en route to start up the Dearly Departed mission, which would have me tracking down and hunting a buck big enough to maybe even make my father proud of me for the first time. Of course, the gamma version of the deer stood absolutely no chance against 2 Crocs, and before long I was munching through its entire herd to complete the mission. After grabbing another glitch, I returned to fire up the beta version of the quest, this time with my Acro tagging along for the hunt, which was definitely necessary as the first encounter with the deer would prove to be a much more challenging battle, and after tracking it down to its herd, the Croc I was riding was nearly lost in the fight. But still, we took it down and the mission was done. Next, I fired up the gamma version of Hide and Seek to hunt and fight a massive Ferox who would at one point dismount me, but for the most part, like all Gamma hunts, it was smooth sailing until the mission was complete. But not sure I could take on the Beta Feryx, I instead decided to do the Gamma version of Mammoths on parade. And instead of joining the fight, I used my rabbit to quickly follow the tracks, and then let my Crocs out to do the battling. When the final encounter came, I got my acro out as well to secure the kill and the mission completion. Next up was Ruffle Some Feathers, where I would hunt down a brute Tyrannus, who would actually put up a decent fight even on Gamma, but ultimately it was no match for my Crocs.
There we go.
With everything I could do in the snowed biome done, I returned to the coastline of my island, where I would place down 2 storage containers to hold all the loot I've gathered recently, before then porting to the volcano biome to first do the Aloe and Goodbye mission on Gamma, hunting down a brute Aloe and taking it out. Next up was the Gamma Kingslayer mission, where I would hunt a brute Rex all around the volcano, and after tracking it down to a spot it couldn't escape, I was taking it and its pack of raptors out to complete the mission. From there, I fired up the Gamma version of the Summit Tour, where I needed to escort a family of parasaurs through the most scenic and peaceful route you could possibly imagine, which actually proved to be a bit more difficult than I expected, but eventually it was done, the family was home, and my mission was complete. And at this point, I had enough hexagons to buy another 35k chest. So I did just that, and this one wasn't as lucrative as the last, but it did give me a very nice helmet. Continuing the hunt missions, I headed to the ocean to do one called Chasing the White Whale, where I chased a white whale, which actually proved to be very hard, as the footprints are much harder to see, and of course sharks exist still. But eventually I was chewing through the big fish and its big fish friends, and another mission was complete in overtime. For the next mission, I first needed to go home and grab any scuba tanks I had in storage, but when I went to repair my flippers, I had a little visitor below my workshop.
Are we being serious right now? What is going on? I was just that bad of a shot? I was just missing those?
With that threat dealt with, I repaired my flippers and began swimming my way out to the ocean missions, when I'm to discover for the first time that the Tide Pup's evolved form has the ability to leap out of the water.
Well, can you jump onto the bigger boat? Oh, nice! Landing!
With scuba gear on and cactus broth hiding my essence, I started the beta version of the hide and sink that I completed earlier on Gamma. But as I swam around the first reef, a whirlpool formed and began sucking me in.
Oh, I'm definitely in this thing now. And what happens? Do I just get sucked into this thing forever? Let me go, please! Oh, it's right there! Just let me out! Let me out, please!
It held me in place until it finally dispersed, and now that I was free, I was able to quickly swim around to the 4 different locations, collecting the bubbles until the mission was complete. But with loot weighing me down and nothing I needed anyways, I just dumped it all into the ocean, and returned to start up the alpha version of the mission, which I completed without any hiccups, and after sailing my way back to my island, I used my ship's cannons to fire myself closer to base.
Yeah!
Once there, I began hooking my Rex up with any extra levels they had gained, as well as the saddles I've been rewarded for completing various missions. Then I bought another of the 35k loot chests, which gave me some loot that would have been great early on.
That would have been nice a long time ago.
And at this point, I only had 2 missions before I could take on the Gamma boss. So I went to the swamp for some more Gamma hunts, but the first one being a Sarco hunt proved to be impossible when the tracks just vanished in the marsh. And so I abandoned it. The next one was a Spino hunt, which started off easy enough as I tracked the Spino down to battle it for the first time, but after following the tracks a little further, they once again just vanished.
What do you do? What do you do? There is no track. It does not exist.
I searched all over for them, but yeah, they either stopped spawning in or I'm just blind. So instead, I went to go do the web search.
Okay. This one hopefully will be a little... This one will hopefully be a little bit easier.
After fending off the Capro, I fired up the mission and tracked the Bloodstalker down to the first encounter, where it would prove to be more formidable than I had expected. At the second encounter, it even dismounted me, which I should have taken as a warning sign, as during the final encounter, the spider webbed and pulled me into it, where I would be jumped by a mob of spiders and killed. Thankfully, I was able to return and grab my bag, and instead of having a repeat incident, I fired up the Along Came Pollen mission instead, doing another quest where I followed HNA's clues through the zone until eventually I was at the pollen plants she sent me for. I just had to figure out what to do with them.
How do I harvest? Do I not know how to harvest it?
And now knowing how they work, I continued harvesting each and every one of them, until I had all that I needed, and all that was left was to do another swift escape with Jessica to reach the finish line and complete the quest. So for my final quest, I decided to do the beta version of another bog hunt, and after getting a bit turned around on a few of the bubbles, I was grabbing the last one to complete the final mission I needed to unlock the Gamma boss fight. Ready to rock, I returned to base to grab my best armor, leveled my acro and gave it an improved saddle I'd gotten from missions, hooked up another Rex with an improved saddle as well, and crafted primitive Dino Sutra saddles for the few unlucky crocs. Next, I repaired my armor that needed repaired, and then named my boss fighting Dino Sutras and Rex army. As always, I asked you all for name suggestions and then let a spin wheel choose the winners. So if you've seen your name, congrats. And with that, the only matter left to do at base was to craft as many advanced sniper bullets as I could, since it was the only really good weapon I had. And after putting all the consumables I've gotten from missions on my hotbar, I returned to the bog to use the large flat circle at the bottom of the pit as a staging area for my boss fighting Tames.
Alright, here we go. Alright, folks. This is the moment. Arrival protocol. The final test, Gamma. Here we go.
As the battle began, I whistled all my creatures forward into the center and left them on aggressive to just go buck wild on anything that gets too close. Then I hopped off my acro to see if I could use its abilities without riding it, but I can't, so I hopped back on to start the battle. Ultimately, I decided the best course of action would be to just run around on foot collecting the code keys, stopping only to pop shots at any drones that became too great of pests.
I should probably be on a Dino Sutras because I can shoot off the back of the Dino Sutras.
Doing my best to keep my Tames in a central location so my type up could keep them healed, and sometimes just trying to convince a few of them to do anything at all. But with little struggle, I had the keys I needed and jumped down to the terminal to complete the first stage.
Brother, attack that thing. What are you doing?
I started the next stage using my croc to fend off the initial wave, before again going about it on foot to take out any drones and begin grabbing any keys I could find, even if it didn't feel like many were dropping at times.
I've only got 21 so far. Like, it doesn't feel like that many are getting dropped.
But I kept at it grabbing keys, and eventually I was making another bank deposit to once again give the corrupted Master Controller a little shock. On the third round, I just went straight to running around gathering keys, of course again using my sniper rifle to take down any of the drones, and after getting several laps in, I was once again delivering another blow. Bringing me to the fourth stage, where I started off by staying on my croc to fight off the initial horde of creatures, to include Reapers. Once the horde was dealt with, I began running around collecting keys, as I had to make 2 separate deposits of 20 keys each. Just before depositing the first set of keys, one of my Rex would die, completely unnoticed by me due to the boss's health bar basically covering it. But then, halfway through the second collection, another Rex would go down.
Seeing anything. Wait, someone just died. Alright, heal up over there. Everybody go heal up.
And then things got, well, yeah.
I don't see the last key. I don't see the last key anywhere. I think it's bugged. Brutus, come on, brother. Okay, well, Brutus is gonna apparently hang out in there. No, Brutus cannot get out. Brutus cannot get out, by the way. Well, that'll do it, folks. That's the 100 days video. What an ending.
So apparently this is a common bug that happens on the single player version of this boss fight. For some reason, it just simply stops spawning hordes, and you end up one short on keys you can deposit into the terminal. I searched high and low for the last key, I tried the fight again, it just kept happening. Now I will say this, I had lost a few Rex and a few others were looking a little beat up, but my Crocs were all still sitting at above 20,000 health. So I can at least take solace in the fact that I believe we could have pulled this fight off, should it have not bugged out. Anyways, that is going to do it for this 100 days, everyone. It's an unfortunate way for this to end, but I still hope you all at least enjoyed the video. Like I said, this was my first time ever playing Genesis, so it was all brand new to me, and I gotta say, I really love the different, very unique biomes, but I do wish the missions were more of an optional thing. Call me old-fashioned, but I prefer a good old cave run for my artifacts. I did love the new ocean mechanics though, and everything that came with the Tides of Fortune DLC was great. I loved all the new creatures, the ships were absolutely amazing, I cannot wait to mess with those on some other maps, and this might be my favorite build tile set we've seen yet, and just all the engrams that come with it. I talked about it in one of my live streams, but I really feel like this DLC brought the biggest amount of useful content. I would highly recommend you check it out for yourself, and you can buy it for whatever platform you play on via the links in my description and pinned comment. But anyways, with all of that said, guys, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, have a blessed day and keep it crispy.